Onoki and third generation took out special flares at the same time. Boom. The signal flares of the two villages exploded in the air. 3 or 4 waves in succession. This signal generally means reconciliation and a cessation of fighting. So, everyone around stopped. Immediately afterwards, some Anbu also took out the flare and released it. All ninjas saw the signal, even Minato behind Rock Shinobi. Minato, we won. Successful. Namikaze Minato breathed a sigh of relief. Facts have proved that Kyochi's tactics were very successful. They pushed in from the rear, and the ninjas behind Onoki couldn't stop them at all. The defense line composed of Jonin and Chunin left behind was completely disintegrated in just a few minutes. It can be said, except for the first wave, Rock Shinobi failed to form an effective defense in the rear. The result is, when Onoki came back and saw that he had only 1/3 of the medical team left, his fist hardened again. Hateful. He was furious in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. Master Tsuchikage, in a war each depends on his ability. I hope you don't blame us for being too ruthless. Namikaze Minato smiled softly, different from the original. This time Onoki didn't have much dealings with Minato, but Cloud Shinobi knew Minato better, but he got some news from Kyochi. The person in front of me has mastered the super speed secret technique of second Hokage. He looked at the big camp, and he roughly understood what happened in his heart. He sighed and said, I, Onoki, believe that I have experienced hundreds of battles, and I have led many wars, big and small. I am more confident in my tactics and grasp of the situation. I didn't expect still got it. Where, you are the best. If I didn't know more about martial arts, I would have been almost killed by you. Kyochi followed behind, not worried about Namikaze Minato and the others. With Iwagakure's current situation, Onoki has no other choice but to surrender and reconcile, unless he wants to look at Iwagakure's Jonin fault. So, Minato's side is very safe, and it is impossible to be attacked by Onoki. He came here mainly to see if he could make any money. Onoki doesn't want to talk to Kyochi. How old is this kid? 20 years old at most. He was several times stronger than him, but after the fight, he was almost killed by the secret technique of the opponent's continuous detonation talisman. As a Tsuchikage, he already felt very ashamed. In the end, this guy came to kill people. That is to say, you can't catch it, or you really want to beat me up. He was angry. Hey, Kyochi, I'll go to Hokage-sama first, and I'll leave this to you. Okay, you go first, I will deal with it later. Kyochi nodded. Onoki watched the situation, his heart twitched. This is the elite of their rock shinobi. Nowadays, many Jonin and Chunin have been killed, and the medical classes are dying one by one. It will take double the time to train them again. This is only on the side of the camp, and the loss on the battlefield is even greater. And another point is, due to the lack of medical ninjas, the injured rock shinobi here cannot be recovered at all. Master Tsuchikage, your subordinates have suffered a lot. Onoki turned his head and sighed. Just say what you have to say. Although I am old, I am not yet mad at you. That's good. No, I mean, Konoha, in a humanitarian spirit, can provide rock shinobi with medical assistance. I wonder if you need it. Kyochi coughed lightly. Onoki was stunned for 2 seconds, then asked cautiously, is there a fee? I personally don't charge for your face, but this technique needs to invite Master Donghuo. It is the fairy of the wet bone forest. You won't let the old man go for nothing, will you? If you just ask for money, it will be over, and you have to make so many eyebrows. Which summoning beast still has an appearance fee? Onoki complained in his heart, but he knew that if Kyochi didn't make a move, rock shinobi's damage would only get worse, and a little money was nothing compared to human life. What about the money? It's cheap, just count as 1/10 of Master Huangtu's price. It can't be calculated like this. Huangtu was captured by you. This is rescue. Besides, you don't want to pay for it if you don't say it? Okay. Then less, 1/20. After some bargaining, Onoki asked Kyochi for a total price of 5 million. This is equivalent to the salary of an S-level task. But the only requirement is to settle now. Onoki was very angry, because when he came to the warehouse, he found that all the detonating symbols in the warehouse had been taken away. No wonder Namikaze Minato slipped away so fast. He cobbled together only a little over 1 million, and the rest had to be IOUs in the name of Iwagakure. Kyochi didn't hesitate. Pay and go. But before that, he explained the situation clearly, and it is possible to save people, but he needs rock shinobi to provide chakra. Onoki gave all the money, so naturally he didn't care about providing some chakra. Subsequently, Kyochi used all remaining tailed beast chakra to augment, and summoned a huge Katsuyu clone. After some communication, The live slug split into countless small katsuyu and scattered them to all the wounded. Then, he draws a lot of ninja's chakra to supplement the depletion of 100 healings mark. How could Onogi fail to see Kyochi's meter? Except for the tailed beast chakra that was depleted by summoning, Kyochi didn't use his own chakra at all. All the healing needs were absorbed, so he only healed for a while and stopped for a while. Although he guessed before that it might be Kanda Kyochi who maintains the Katsuyu technique on Konoha's side, seeing it with his own eyes, he can't help but feel emotional. This guy's medical level is already ranked first in Iwagakure. Onoki doesn't know what the current medical level of Tsunade is, but according to the state of the previous fights, the gap between Kyochi and Tsunade is not too big. The key is, this kid is a part-time student, and his major is obviously swordsmanship. The talent is really amazing. Why is there no such genius in Iwagakure? Onoki was heartbroken. He is close to 60 years old, but there has never been a ninja in the village who can cultivate Dust Dungeon. No matter how bad he is, he can learn light and heavy rocks, but none. Kid Konoha has calculated this point correctly and decided that he dare not risk his life. In fact, he really didn't dare. Onoki sighed, worrying about how to negotiate with the daimyo, while thinking about how to deal with Cloud Shinobi Village. Third Raikage is not easy to deal with. After a long time, on Rock Shinobi's side, the treatment work is basically completed. Kyochi Jonin, you made the plan against me Rock Shinobi this time, right? At this time, Onoki had calmed down, willing to gamble and admit defeat. For Konoha's attack, it was their Rock Shinobi who started first, and it was only natural that they lost the compensation and were slaughtered. But he wondered who was behind the strategy. Third Hokage? Come on. He knows Sarutobi Hiruzen too well. With Sarutobi Hiruzen's character, he would never have made such a bold strategy. You guess. To put it bluntly, we at Rock Shinobi will fulfill our promise, and at Cloud Shinobi we will take action to stop it, but how much we can stop and how big the results are will depend on your Konoha efforts. What do you mean? Of course Kyochi understood what Onogi was thinking. We joined forces to kill Third Raikage. If we let him go back, Cloud Shinobi Village will start a war again in a few years at most, which is not good for everyone. Onoki didn't hide it. Iwagakure's jutsu has been completely defeated by Cloud Shinobi, especially the current Raikage 3rd generation I. In front of the strongest spear, all earth-style ninjutsu is like tofu. He even dreamed of killing Third Raikage. Kyochi's wind style is strong, and he also has Samahata who absorbs chakra, which is also amazingly fast. In Onogi's view, Kyochi has all the ingredients to beat Third Raikage. Third Raikage? Kyochi was lost in thought. It's also in Konoha's interest to kill Third Raikage. Third Raikage can hard steal 8 tails on the front. What's even more outrageous is that 8 tails failed to break his defense. The only wound was made by Third Raikage himself. According to the original trajectory, Onoki spent more than 10,000 Rock Shinobi to consume Third Raikage alive. This record is really exaggerated. Although Konoha is not as partial as Rock Shinobi, there are not many who can beat Third Raikage. If Third Raikage were to go back, that's a big problem. He pondered for a long time, and said, I can't make the decision about the Third Raikage. I have to go back to the village and Mr. Hokage to discuss it. But please rest assured, I definitely have ideas about Third Raikage. Okay, you go back and discuss it, this is an excellent opportunity. Onoki said seriously. Kyochi's strategic placement is fantastic. On the one hand, the surprise attack by drawing hands turned his rear upside down, and it was determined by the first battle. On the other hand, the east side opened up the front line, allowing Cloud Shinobi Village to extend the distance. Going deep alone, what good end can there be? He believed that Konoha had not only hired Rock Shinobi as a helper, Kirigakure probably also had similar conditions. Once the news of the victory in the west spread, Mist Shinobi's cowards would immediately stab Cloud Shinobi in the back. This is in line with the style that Kyochi has shown in several playsets. But you have to be fast, the speed of soldiers is precious. If you are slow, maybe Cloud Shinobi will get the news and retreat directly, when the time comes. We Konoha don't care. Kyochi admires Onogi. With a little intelligence, the other party can see their overall layout thoroughly. It's true that people grow old. He doesn't want to be manipulated by Onogi, and Konoha is not as afraid of Third Raikage as Rock Shinobi, and Onogi not only has competition pressure, but also hostage pressure. Huang Tu and Lao Zi haven't returned yet. The two will be sent back together after the battle. Before that, they must be guests in Konoha. Can I still break my promise? Go back tonight and send troops to the Kingdom of Thunder tomorrow, don't you feel relieved? Onoki was speechless. This guy refuses to suffer at all. So difficult to deal with. Before tonight, we will have an answer here. After Kyochi finished speaking, the figure disappeared. Senju's bloodline is really enviable. Onoki sighed secretly. Before there was Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama, now there is Tsunade, Kyochi. As far as he knows, Senju has spread throughout Konoha, and Kyochi is a product of the intermarriage policy, but even after 2 generations, Senju's power still emerges from him. This bloodline. Terrible. Compared with Onoki's side, Konoha's camp looks orderly. All injured ninjas were treated on the spot first, and those who were slightly injured were sent to the camp for treatment. With the help of Kyochi's avatar, the pressure of treatment there was not too great. But Kyochi can imagine the feeling of waiting for the clone to return. At that time, I am afraid I will have to sleep for a day. When he entered the camp, he saw Asuma, Obito and the others standing at the door with depressed and sullen faces. Kyochi didn't have time to chat right now, so he ignored him for the time being and went to 3rd Hokage. Going to 3rd generation, he understands why Asuma and the others are in a bad mood. Sarutobi Hiruzen is counting the dead ninjas. Although Kyochi's tactics allowed Konoha to quickly defeat rock shinobi, which in a sense reduced a lot of casualties, that wars will kill people, not just genin, chunin, and jonin. For example, in the Akamichi family, 2 jonin died in the fire of each other. This is war. Kyochi remained silent, bowed his head to the corpses, and walked behind 3rd generation. What did Onogi say? He wants to take out 3rd Raikage and wants us to help him. Kyochi answered simply. 3rd generation didn't answer immediately, but thought for a while before asking. How determined do you think Onogi is? I'm afraid it's not small. Kyochi thought for a while, and then said, 3rd Raikage is too strong, rock shinobi has no chance of winning against him, and I think he might be worried about Kilin. We also bullied Onoki a few times and didn't know how to fight. Now that he has understood, he is not too afraid of Kilin. Halfway through the talk, 3rd generation thought for a while, then nodded and said, however, there are quite a few lightning-style ninjas in Cloud Shinobi Village, and with the strength of 3rd Raikage, it is indeed worth being afraid of. Kyochi nods, he thought so too. Although Onoki knows how to fight, but with so many lightning-style masters in Cloud Shinobi Village, if they divide waves or develop tactics to cooperate with Kilin, even if there is a countermeasure, they may be restrained in frontal combat. So, on Onogi's side, 3rd Raikage must die. 3rd generation thought for a long time. After pondering again and again, he turned around and said, it's time to kill. If you don't kill Raikage, their strength will recover in a few years. A ninja who is strong to a certain extent can really support a village. Hanzo and 3rd Raikage are all of this type. Yes. Then you have to send someone to inform Onogi before tonight, and I have to hurry up to rest. Go and rest, I'll just come here. 3rd generation knew Kyochi was tired. It's fine now. But once Shadow Clone returns, the superimposed fatigue will explode, even Senju's physique can't bear it. Take this knife back. I'm still used to using the golden cudgel. Yes. Kyochi took Lei Daoya, turned around and walked towards the gate of the camp. He planned to chat with Asuma and the others before going to rest, but he glanced sideways. There was a person hiding in the tree. Silver mask. Genuine White Fang descendants. But still that twisted smell. He didn't pay attention anymore and was about to leave when Kakashi came over in an instant. Can I ask a question? Say. Kyochi was a little surprised, but calmed down quickly. Kakashi hesitated for a moment, and said, Nindaojutsu, how can it be perfect? Different chakra nature transformations have different fusion methods. I am best at wind-style swordsmanship and illusion swordsmanship, followed by water-style, and earth-style has not yet found a perfect method. Maybe we can start with weight. Kyochi wasn't stingy either. Ninja sword fusion, he should be able to talk in Konoha. Kakashi will ponder about ninja sword, or the result of his own reminder. Naturally he will answer all questions. Anyway, there are rewards. As for the earth-style swordsmanship, the nature that is most suitable for integration is the nature transformation of light and heavy rocks and aggravated rocks. Unfortunately, Konoha does not have earth-style ninjutsu similar to nature transformation, and it is no less difficult to develop this thing than to develop light-heavy rock and aggravated rock technique with zero foundation. After Kakashi heard this, he naturally understood that earth-style would not work together. He thought for a while, and then said, lightning style, I can paralyze the knife now. I feel that the effect is not perfect, because the current mode seems to rely more on the lightning style to stimulate activity and cooperate with body skills and knife skills. As Kakashi said, he drew his sword and drew a sword. ZZ, the lightning style chakra was attached to the knife, but it quickly dispersed. Although the power has been enhanced, the effect is relatively mediocre. You're not focused enough. Kyochi understood at a glance. Lightning style is easy to disperse, while Kakashi has a centralized chakra, but the control is still not in place. Kakashi was puzzled. But, the next moment, he saw Kyoshi draw a knife. A moment ago, there was no chakra attached to the blade, but only for a moment, the water-style chakra condensed to ultimate emerged from the blade. This is water-style swordsmanship, its effect is cut out with one knife. A jet of water like a thin blade extended from the body of the sword, and the high-pressure water blade instantly cut a long and narrow sword mark on the ground. Cutting? Kakashi was surprised. This effect is almost comparable to wine-style's cutting nature transformation. Can water-style achieve this effect? Have you ever heard of Third Raikage's single hand? Known as the strongest spear, its effect is actually a highly concentrated lightning-style chakra, and the sword technique is the same. I understand a little bit, thank you for your pointers. Kakashi bowed deeply. He knew very well that this kind of thinking was more important than ninjutsu. A consistent hand, sword, the two may be common. Concentrate, he left thoughtfully. Kyoshi didn't teach him Chidori directly, it's not suitable for the current Kakashi, it won't be too late to teach him after Kakashi has mastered the concentrated effect of lightning-style chakra. After Kakashi left, he glanced at the system. There are not many rewards in this wave, but a lot more Kakashi's understanding of Chidori. Talk is better than nothing. After all, he doesn't have lightning-style chakra, no matter how strong Chidori is, it can't be used as a mainstream attack method. Right now, the main sword skills are wind, water, ice and phantom sword skills. The next step to study is the weight of earth style. But, there are still many things to study. Hope the war ends soon. Kyoshi sighs. With the chaos of war, no research can be done, and education can't be done properly. Third Raikage better die. He walked over to the gate of the camp. Asuma and the others have recovered from depression, exercising in the nearby woods one by one, looking full of energy. But, it's also because they have nothing else to do. Not just them. The rest of the genin and Kyoshi who graduated within 1 year were given special care, so they basically survived, and most of the ninjas who were killed were older than the age. This is also impossible. Seeing that they were all right, Kyoshi returned to his tent, first sent a message to Tsunade, then took a deep breath and accepted the judgment from Shadow Clone. As expected. The load from a war, if Kyoshi hadn't activated 100 Healing's Mark and Baihao technique, I'm afraid it would have been closed directly, so. Naruto is really fierce. He lay down and fell asleep as soon as he touched the bed, and it was already the next day when he woke up. Looking outside, the sun is burning in the sky. The rain is over and the sky is clear. Kyoshi squinted his eyes, feeling hungry, took out a Bingliang pill and ate one. Master Kyoshi, Lord Third Generation, please come over after you wake up. Okay. The gatekeeper is Mukai. It seemed that the Third Generation had also communicated with him, and his aura was much restrained, and Kyoshi faintly felt that there was a sealing technique on his body. It seems that he has already learned the 4-element seal. But, this is an S-level sealing technique, and it takes a lot of effort to learn it. Come on. I know a little bit about the sealing technique, if you don't understand, you can ask me. Kyoshi whispered. Then, he went to Third Generation. Mukai naturally felt secretly happy. Understand a little? That's humble. Being able to win Jinchuriki, Kyoshi's seal technique is already very famous. Only after seeing Third Generation did Kyoshi realize that something had changed slightly. Onoki paid 5 million taels each, and hoped that Kyoshi and Minato would accompany him. This is equivalent to an S-level task, and it is the kind with a higher salary. So, you sold us. Hey, what I mean is, you go to Rock Shinobi with Minato. We mainly block the front and cause casualties as much as possible, but we don't fight recklessly with Cloud Shinobi Village. Third Generation is also a little embarrassed. Kyoshi was still in a coma, and he accepted a mission instead without saying a word, which was indeed a bit unkind. But 5 million for one person, 10 million for two. Although it's not Konoha's, they have to spend in Konoha, right? Rounding. That's still Konoha's. So, are you willing to go? If not, I will ask Kosuke to find a way to talk to Minato. Of course. Yes. Kyoshi didn't hesitate much. 5 million. With Minato around, he can basically attack and defend, and his life is not in danger at all. A surefire deal. So you're leaving now? Well, Asuma and the others are counting on you. There will be basically no need for them in the future. I plan to send all the ninjas under the age of 12 back to Konoha to rest, and they are the same. Konoha is still strong. The Third Generation abolished the 12-year-old graduation system, which was also something that could not be helped during the war. 1-on-2 and 1-on-3 are really not enough, but there is only one Cloud Shinobi village, so where is the need for children to take risks? That's good too. Kiyoshi thought for a while, and then said, you can consider asking them to give lectures to the children of the ninja school after they go back, hold an exchange meeting and the like, and those who don't pass some theories can go and learn again. Especially Obito. This guy is simply a fish that slipped through the net of Konoha theory education. It's all right now. Isn't it the best time to learn again? Third generation's eyes lit up when he heard this, and after thinking about it, he couldn't help nodding his head and said, it makes sense. These children were originally required to graduate early because of the war, so it's reasonable to go back and continue their studies now, but will they have any resistance? Don't be afraid. The exchange is over. You ask Mito's seniors to give them a class. The name is set as a Chunin sprint class, which specifically teaches how to become a qualified Chunin. Conflict. Joke. With so many means in the previous life, how can these children find faults? After hearing this, third generation nodded repeatedly. Chunin sprint class. It is impossible to refute it. Mitokado Homura has high prestige, and it is indeed appropriate to do this. Wonderful. Huh? Let's go back to Konoha. Why? Asuma is puzzled. According to the teacher, they graduated early because of the shortage of manpower in the war, but now that the war is not over, they have to be sent back to Konoha so that they don't have to participate in the follow-up battle. This, can't understand. The others were also stunned. Apparently they didn't expect to be called over, and this was the end result. Back to the village. Of all the children who graduated early, there were only 3 exceptions. Hitaki Kakashi, Might Guy, and Kuroyuki. Why don't they go back, Guy? Asuma demurred. In front of the third generation, he was probably the only one who dared to speak like that, while the others had already been intimidated by the coercion of the third generation, and did not dare to question it at all. They're Chunin, and next up is Cloud Shinobi Village. They're good at speed, lightning-style ninjutsu. Most of you can't handle it, so the fight over there is off you. Third generation is also direct. In many cases, secretiveness does not bring self-esteem to children, because they have graduated to become qualified genin and know a lot about ninjas. Present the facts and speak the truth. Asuma listened and was speechless for a while. Speed, lightning style. Wind style can restrain lightning style, but now all that remain are Chunin. He failed to become Chunin, so naturally he is not qualified to stay. Do you understand? Yes, he was sullen. Reluctant, but can't find fault, in particular. In the previous Chunin exam, as the captain, he was careless in intelligence gathering, so that he stepped into someone else's trap and eventually lost the game. About Chunin, he has nothing to complain about. If only I had worked harder at that time. Asuma, there is nothing wrong with going back to the village. We have many things to do, such as D-level tasks, practice, study, etc. In fact, we are indeed a drag on the battlefield. Shisui said softly. He is very aware of the sacrifices from above. In order for them to survive as much as possible on the battlefield, their teachers are generally stronger. Not only their family children, but also the children of civilians are also led by Jonin. Actually, most of them are normal genin, but they don't have the treatment of Jonin leading the team. Generally, Chunin is the captain of the genin team, responsible for team command, scheduling and training. Therefore, the vast majority of genin who graduated early received preferential treatment on the battlefield. However, this preferential treatment will limit the role of Jonin. Like this time. Without Obito and Lin, Namikaze Minado's strength has basically been fully utilized. There are only 12 people, but Rock Shinobi is unstoppable behind. Everyone understands the truth. It is not so easy to directly admit that you are weak, but everyone sees Shisui being so indifferent, and somehow calms down. The genius who graduated at the age of 5 didn't say anything, so what can they complain about? The mind suddenly calmed down. Then set off today. After returning to the village, Tsunade will arrange the follow-up for you. Yes. So, in the name of the Chunin exam, you plan to let them go back and study again? On a boat to the north. Namikaze Minato looked weird. The idea of having genin go back and study again is abysmal. Yes, they are all quick-learned people, and a lot of theoretical knowledge is not enough. Like Obito, it is completely a fish that slipped through the net of education. If he fails the sprint class this time, don't think about it. A smile crept across Kyochi's face. He chased for a long time, and finally caught up with Minato before they boarded the boat, and now they are in the same cabin. The specifications of this ship are quite amazing. Onogi is on this ship. Apart from the sailors and other crew members, there are only 2 guards, Onogi and Rock Shinobi, and Kyochi and Minato. Obviously. Onoki did it on purpose. Fewer people can make Namikaze Minato, Kanda Kyochi feel more secure, and at the same time. Some things can be talked about more easily. Boom boom boom. Kyochi and Minato looked at each other, then got up and opened the door, looked down, it was Onoki. Master Tsuchikage. Ahem, Don't be so polite, sit down and talk. Onoki coughed lightly. He didn't think it was too polite for the two of them to greet him together. The main thing was that Kyoshi and Minato were much taller than him. If the three of them were standing and chatting, Onoki had to look up. Talk like this. Don't talk about being tired, the momentum will not go up. Yes. Both Minato and Kyoshi are submissive. Onoki is Tsuchikage at any rate, and the other party is the boss. A total of 10 million is paid so that they can accompany them. Let's not talk about how much it plays, but the attitude should be better. I just heard you guys seem to be talking about the sprint class. I don't know what it is? Onoki asked without any embarrassment. What he said made Kyoshi froze for a moment. Good guy. Is eavesdropping so above board? Don't get me wrong, I actually happened to come to you, and I accidentally heard this sentence. No, we did not misunderstand. Minato smiled mildly, but didn't say anything about the sprint class, and looked at Kyoshi's side. It's up to Kyoshi to decide whether to say it or not. Kyoshi recalled a moment. Rock Shinobi is considered to be the best among the 4 major countries outside Konoha in terms of teaching ninjas. After the Second Ninja War, he quickly recovered and accumulated a lot of excellent chunin and genin in a short period of time. What they lack is jonin. But the sprint class, to put it bluntly, is an educational method. He thought for a while and said, based on my friendship with you, I am willing to tell you personally, but I have to consider my own position, so. Add money? Onogi asked in a whisper. I am this kind of person? Kyoshi tilted his head, with an unwavering look on his face. Indeed, you are a noble ninja. Let's see, after the war, the ninja world will definitely enter a period of peace. I wonder if Iwagakure can participate in Konoha's chunin exam and communicate with you? Onoki endured the discomfort in his heart. Although when Tsuchikage, lying is not once or twice, but calling this kid noble. Hell. This guy is not like the Senju clan at all in terms of money, he is a businessman, and he is very treacherous and cunning. But he also knew this kind of secret, and the other party would not reveal it easily, so he was mentally prepared. Kyoshi understood. Onoki's real idea is actually the chunin exam. He thought for a moment, nodded and said, our Konoha is willing to communicate with the outside world, but I am only a jonin after all, and I don't have absolute decision-making power. This matter still needs to be negotiated with Master Hokage. Of course. A smile appeared on Onoki's face. Master Hokage? He can't see that Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't care about Hokage now. After the war is over, it is estimated that Konoha will be the 4th generation, and the 4th Hokage depends on the situation. Most likely Tsunade. So, as a family member of Tsunade and the strongest talent of the new generation, Kyoshi's status in Konoha can be imagined. His words are nothing more than humility and prevarication. Afterwards, he had a brief chat with Kyoshi and Minato, without saying anything more serious. It seemed that he was chatting about family matters, but the chunin exam was just a temporary idea. Onogi's real purpose is not it. After chatting for a long time, Kyoshi couldn't find the topic. He finally couldn't hold back and said, how much do you know about third Reikage? To be honest, I don't know much, you know, Minato and I are only in our teens or 20s. Kyoshi sat up straight. Here comes the business. Onoki was silent for a moment, then moved his chair to a higher position, and then said, third Reikage is good at ninjutsu, he has lightning-style armor in defense, he has a skill in attack, and his own speed is also very good. Soon, it will be difficult for my dust escape to work. Speaking of which, he glanced at Kyoshi. In a sense, Kyoshi is the same as third Reikage, but Kyoshi's methods are richer, more weird and varied than third Reikage, and the record is similar. Third Reikage can't deal with Onoki, and Onoki can't do much with third Reikage. Just like the fight with Kyoshi. After recalling, Onoki sighed, and then spoke. As far as I know, there was a riot in Cloud Shinobi Village 8 Tails, but it was subdued by third Reikage alone. His lightning-style armor even the tailed beasts couldn't break through it. If we let Rock Shinobi deal with Cloud Shinobi Village alone, say honestly, I'm not sure. When a person really wants to kill another person, there is nothing that cannot be overcome, but now Onoki's determination has not reached the point of breaking the boat. This is probably because of their own reasons. Wind style grams lightning style. This is a well-known thing in the ninja world, and among the techniques Kyoshi is good at is wind style. He knew a little more about the Eight Tails uprising than Onoki. Orochimaru did this good job, and some cells of Eight Tails are still in his laboratory. Also, third Reikage's lightning style armor has a weakness. He also understood Onoki's purpose. This is to get a bottom line, to see how effective 10 million can be. Kyoshi thought for a moment and said, to tell you the truth, I have never fought against third Reikage, so I'm not sure if I can break through it, but with more people, third Reikage can be exhausted no matter what. Death. Onoki fell silent. Is it still the same? It's just that if this is the case, 10 million is not a big loss. That is it. That's not true. Third Raikage. The three of us can still consume him to death. The key is the other Cloud Shinobi. Kyochi said. As expected of Konoha's genius, I'm fine now. After hearing this, Onoki showed a sincere smile on his face. 3 consumption? Misunderstood. 10 million is still worth it. Afterwards, he said, I have a personal question. How far have you and Kirigakure fought, and why did Kirigakure withdraw so quickly? Didn't Mist Shinobi tell you? I killed all of their 7 knives, and now 4 are alive, but I actually put back 3, and the same goes for their knives. Counting the 3 knives he saw in Konoha. 6 knives? Damn Mist Shinobi, sure enough with something to hide. In the information obtained by Onoki, it was only mentioned that Kyochi was strong and fast, but there was no mention of the details of the war and the battle process. Isn't this a scam? A bunch of trash. Can do nothing but cheat, including Second Mizukage. If Second Mizukage hadn't killed his teacher, how could Iwagakure have been suppressed by Senju Tobarama for so many years? This is not my personal credit, everyone has a share. So, the condition for releasing the 3 people is that the 3 knives belong to you, and then they send people to attack the rear of the Kingdom of Thunder? Since you guessed it, don't I need to say more? Kyochi smiled all over his face, but couldn't help but feel happy in his heart. It turns out that the information given by Kirigakure is not complete at all, so Onoki lacks a lot of understanding about himself. No wonder. Thanks Mist Shinobi. My lord, we have already seen the coast of the Land of Thunder. Okay. Wait here for a while. Onoki ordered to go down. At present, not all of the Rock Shinobi have arrived, only a small part has arrived first. This strength is not enough to cut off the way back to Cloud Shinobi village, and will be surrounded and eaten instead. Raikage is no fool. Onoki didn't go all out. How could he send all the ninjas to the front line? What if Onoki stole the house? There is no covenant between the two of them. Simply because they thought the opportunity was right now, the 2 villages discussed attacking Konoha together. Furthermore, even if there is a covenant, it may not be useful. Between countries, there is not much integrity to speak of. As long as the interests are sufficient, there are often things that tear faces. Even if Onoki said that he would form an alliance with him, he still would not feel at ease. The same goes for Mist Shinobi. Only, it was impossible for Third Raikage to think that he would choose this time to attack the Land of Thunder with all his strength. Who would have thought? A few days ago, they were fine, even occupying the country of grass, but not long after, they were beaten by Konoha's fists so that they couldn't find their way, so they could only choose to surrender in shame. Onoki sighed. Kyochi stepped out of the cabin, looking at the sparkling sea and the land in the distance, he felt a little better. He looked at Onoki and said, Master Tsuchikage, I think your top priority is not to invade or occupy much land, but to find a way to cultivate a suitable 4th generation. Don't be Tsuchikage when you are 70 or 80 years old, that would be too miserable. Can you say something less worrying? Onoki had nothing to say. He didn't know to cultivate a 4th generation? The issue is, no. I couldn't find a suitable candidate, and finally found a few who made do with it, and they were killed by you. Onoki held back his anger. 5 million. Can't be angry. There are no successors. There must be a problem with the training method. I am an expert in Konoha education. Although Konoha's secrets cannot be revealed, it is no problem to customize a set for you. How much? Talking about money hurts feelings. I'm more curious about your flying ninjutsu. Just talk about ninjutsu. Onoki's face darkened. Light and heavy rocks and weighted rocks are all classified ninjutsu in Iwagakure. Only those he approves can have the opportunity to learn. Does this guy want to learn it for an outsider? Dream. That's the money, 5 million. Kyochi sighs. Anyway, he is just trying to hit a pole casually, and it is impossible to really achieve Tsuchikage level ninjutsu with a few words. 2 million. Don't talk about pulling it down, and if you want to say a few words casually, the old man won't recognize it. Onoki snorted coldly. Okay, then I'll talk about it. Kyochi said. With Wangtu and Laozi in hand, I am not afraid that Inomu will not admit it. At this time, Minato also heard the 2 chatting and came out to the deck. Didn't you notice? You Rock Shinobi have a big problem with your education. Your Earth-style ninjutsu is very good, but everything else is terrible. Onoki was lost in thought. Of course, Iwagakure is not a strong requirement that students must master Earth-style, but Earth-style is the strongest, so most people choose Earth-style. But not diverse enough, but true. If Iwagakure has enough Wind-style and Lightning-style ninjas, how can it be so afraid of Lightning-style Kilin? He got serious. You have a way. In this situation, I think your education must be very rigid. Therefore, I think you should encourage children's ability to explore and understand that the cultivation of thinking ability is more important than simply teaching ninjutsu. You are right. Onoki sighed, but didn't say much. I understand the truth, but can't do it. Iwagakure's reserves of other types of ninjutsu are too small, and the mind-altering Kyoshi said is too empty to be realistic at all. Kyoshi naturally understood. So, after he finished listening, he saw that Onoki didn't follow up, so he continued, for many people, the curriculum of ninja school is not full enough, Minato, right? Huh. Well, yes. But it depends on each person, not everyone can master it quickly. Minato froze for a moment. He didn't expect Kyoshi to mention himself, but it's the truth. When he was in ninja school, he felt that the class was not taught enough. But he is very clear that his talent is not low, so his situation cannot be applied to everyone. And Kyoshi was speechless. Minato is too honest, but fortunately, he didn't want to pit Onoki. That's why elite education is needed. Genin classes for teenagers are set up specifically for gifted children, giving them more courses, teaching them more knowledge, cultivating their thinking skills, etc. Genius class? Onoki muttered to himself. Rock Shinobi's ninja school education is taught together. There is no genius class, but after hearing Kyoshi's words, he vaguely felt that this thing can really be done, because Rock Shinobi does not lack middle and genin, but what is lacking is a powerful and comprehensive jonin. Elite education, true to its name, only to teach the elite. He thought about it carefully, but he didn't find the problem. After pondering for a while, he asked with some incomprehension. Why did you tell me this, so you're not afraid that I, Rock Shinobi, will become stronger? Konoha is the strongest. He is not afraid of any challenge from Ninja Village. Didn't we break the siege of the 3 villages this time? Only competition can make progress. Kyoshi put his hands behind his back, with a confident and haughty expression on his face. Onoki was in a mixed mood. The other party is only in his teens, but he understands many things even better than these people. Such a talent is naturally qualified to be proud. And these words, it really touched him. Competition leads to progress? Minato was lost in thought. This seems wrong at first glance, but when you think about it carefully, the peak period of research and development of ninjutsu in various countries in the ninja world is during the second generation project of each country. Why? Because in that era, names such as Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama, and Uchiha Madara were enough to make everyone full of danger of destruction, so they dared not stop thinking about becoming stronger day and night. And now, Konoha has indeed weakened a lot compared to before. Except for Cloud Shinobi Village, other countries seem to be starting to rely on their laurels, and there are fewer and fewer new ninjutsu research and development, but Konoha is still innovating. The reason is very simple. Although Konoha is strong, what he has to face is the prying eyes of many countries. Konoha is under pressure. Onoki obviously thought of this too. Therefore, he felt that his previous decision was fine. The children of Rock Shinobi must go out and communicate with Konoha, Sand Shinobi and other countries, and they can no longer study and ponder by themselves at home. Thinking of this, he exhaled, took out a scroll, and asked the guard to bring a pen. Subsequently, swipe. A very formal IOU to write down. 4 million. Not only that, Onoki finished writing, and said sincerely, competition makes progress. This sentence makes me feel deeply. The extra 1 million is the money for this sentence. I will send it along with it later. Kyoshi smiled. A word a million. Value. Onoki began to think about the follow-up, and it was naturally impossible for him to communicate with Kyoshi. But what Kyoshi wanted had already been obtained, not just money, but also rewards from the system. Complete the education mode, guide, evaluation. Excellent. Reward. Earth-style gangly-style technique, just excellent? Without extreme excellence, it is too difficult to obtain rewards for light and heavy rocks and aggravated rocks. Certainly. This technique is also worthy of this value, but I don't need it that much. Kyoshi knew that the plan he gave was not very good. The so-called elite education. In fact, it is the ninja version of the fast and slow class. Although there will be many elites, this model will also cause some problems within Rock Shinobi, and Konoha really does not need to be afraid of Iwagakure. If others need to fall behind, Konoha can maintain a strong and number 1 position. Don't you become Danzo yourself? Anyway, he stands on the shoulders of giants. He can't compare with Teizu and other powerhouses, but he still has to be better than Danzo. Aim big. Kyoshi looked out the window at the distant land. Is that okay? Minato clearly didn't understand. From his point of view, it seems that Kyoshi is really helping Rock Shinobi, but he has a vague feeling that something is not right. No problem, it's outdated to give him that. Minato speculates that Kyoshi may have other purposes, and he believes that Kyoshi is not a random person. Rock Shinobi's ships arrive one after another. After a while, all the ships started to sail towards the coast. This is not a pier, and there may be rocks and undercurrents underneath, but for ninjas, these are not a problem. Soon, they approached the shore, however. At the same time, the Cloud Shinobi also found their tracks. Thousands of Rock Shinobi suppressed many ships, and it was impossible to hide Cloud Shinobi from them. In fact, Onoki and Kyoshi had no intention of hiding it, because at this time the large force of Cloud Shinobi was within the territory of the Land of Fire. Even if he could get the news immediately, it would probably take half a day to get back here. This is still unstoppable. No matter how much Konoha stumbles, they won't be able to come back for more than a day. This period of time is enough for them to deal with Cloud Shinobi here and build a strong enough line of defense. Certainly. Facing Cloud Shinobi Village, the defense line built by Earth Style is not that useful, but it is better than nothing. And now, a bunch of Rock Shinobi rushed from the boat to the shore. Kyoshi glanced at it, but didn't choose to make a move. This is not his task. Onoki sighed. If Kyoshi and Minato are willing to fight, then the fight will be much easier, but it is impossible for the two to help easily. 10 million, just enough to hire them against Third Raikage. Certainly. If you can really kill Third Raikage, then the money is worth it, compared to other Cloud Shinobi is not important. He squinted his eyes, thinking about the situation of Cloud Shinobi at the moment. It will take at least half a day for Third Raikage and the others to get the news, and it will take more time to withdraw here. It is entirely possible to arrange traps in advance. Onoki has experienced many wars and has dealt with Cloud Shinobi a lot, so he knows how to deal with those guys who can all be lightning style. After seizing the line of defense, he quickly ordered the deployment. Kyoshi and Minato watched, without making a move or speaking. They can't wait for Rock Shinobi to kill more people. Master Yagura, are we really going to attack Cloud Shinobi? Certainly. However, with Third Raikage's temperament, he suffered a loss this time, and he will definitely retaliate immediately after recovering his combat power. Can our Kirigakure stop it? Zhongji was quite worried. As Mist Shinobi Jonin, he is naturally not ignorant of the village's decision-making. The sneak attack on the Land of Thunder is not just a war launched by those families who want to gain benefits, but also a promise to surrender Konoha. But he is also aware of the cost of attacking the Land of Thunder. Cloud Shinobi Village is warlike. These people are lunatics, they don't care about the consequences of many things, and it is impossible for Kirigakure to defeat Cloud Shinobi Village in terms of strength. Annoyed the opponent, do you expect Konoha to help in the future? From his point of view, attacking Cloud Shinobi is really not a good choice, but Yagura doesn't see it that way. He smiles and looks to the west. Nakayoshi, remember that I asked Anbu to sell a piece of information to Onoki? Yagura paused for a second or two when he said this, and looked back at the Land of Thunder. If nothing else happens, Konoha should be fighting Rock Shinobi now. Zhongji understood. Cloud Shinobi has been on a tear lately. It is said that Konoha has been constantly retreating and has shrunk the battle line to the interior of the Fire Country. This has absolutely never happened before. So, Konoha is already fighting Rock Shinobi. Then shouldn't we attack Konoha? Of course you can, but I think Konoha can win, so let's make a move now, and it will be easier to explain to Konoha when we go back, and we can also get some benefits. Yagura said. Certainly. The reason is not as simple as intuition. He just thinks that guy will use some incredible tactics to defeat that old guy Onogi. The final victory has a high probability of belonging to Konoha. On this basis, after losing the battle, he violated his promise to launch a sneak attack, and the opponent still has guards stationed, so the sneak attack might fail. Only a fool would choose to do that. Yagura thought to himself. It's almost time to land, get ready for battle. No. My lord, I don't know what happened, Cloud Shinobi here has gone a lot to the west. Zhongji was very surprised. His perception is very strong, so he sensed the opponent's movement earlier than ordinary Cloud Shinobi. Obviously. This is the team preparing for Kirigakure's sneak attack. Now the opponent is running to the west, as if rushing to support the other side. What's going on? Yagura also didn't understand. He was stunned for a while, and said with a dull expression, impossible. Could it be that Konoha put all his eggs in one basket and gave up the frontline troops besieging Cloud Shinobi in the west? Is Konoha's Hokage crazy? Zhongji was surprised. Give up the western front, with Rock Shinobi's strength, can't you eat all of Konoha's west? Based on his understanding of Konoha, this is impossible. It's hard to say, that guy can do anything. Of course, there is another possibility, but I pray not. Yagura didn't finish his sentence, and became a riddler. But Zhongji knew it well, another possibility. Konoha can't tell. In a short few days, he has defeated Rock Shinobi in the west, and now he is mobilizing troops to besiege Cloud Shinobi, so Cloud Shinobi's backup team was forced to move there. If so, Konoha's strength is too terrifying. I can't control that much, let's attack the stronghold that has been taken away. Yes. Cloud Shinobi Village. Master Raikage, it's just in time for you to come back. Mist Shinobi really sneak attack. A sneer appeared on Third Raikage's face. These two-faced bastards. I saw that the number of Konoha's ninjas on the front line was not right, so I knew they were not doing their best in the east. No. Yes, Mist Shinobi did attack, but they were just harassing, small-scale attacks on their side, annoying but not important, you see. The Anbu captain handed over an intel. Third Raikage frowned. When he came back from the front line, he felt that something was wrong with Kirigakure, so he quietly returned to the village to sit in charge. According to the original plan, he would unscrew the heads of those trash. But after reading the information, he fell silent for a moment. Rock Shinobi? How could they appear here? Master Raikage. Is Onoki crazy? Instead of taking advantage of Konoha's recovery to deal with Konoha, instead join hands with Konoha to deal with me? The veins on Third Raikage's forehead popped violently. He thought that Konoha had a backup, but he always thought it was Mist Shinobi. He couldn't understand the current situation at all. He wasn't surprised that Kirigakure did this, because Kirigakure's situation was complicated, and various families dragged him down, making any weird decision was nothing. But Iwagakure can be said to be Onogi's one word. With this guy, Iwagakure is as powerful as it is today, and Onoki is by no means a short-sighted person. It is clear that Konoha is still the strongest ninja village right now. Why did he stab himself? Master Raikage, I have an immature guess. We have been so smooth in the east during this time. Is it possible that Konoha took some people away to deal with Iwagakure, so a part of the staff was taken away? Third Raikage knows that the more critical the time is, the more important it is to keep calm. He didn't get angry, but thought calmly. Think about it. He nodded and said, go ahead. According to this speculation, will Onogi have been defeated? Captain Anbu uttered this guess, even though he didn't believe it himself. This was the only possibility. Onoki lost. Third Raikage looked at his Captain Anbu, thinking that this guy is really whimsical. Rock Shinobi has been accumulated for many years, and Konoha has just experienced a war with Sand Shinobi and is fighting on two fronts. A frontal war is definitely a disadvantage. Beheading tactics? Nonsense. That's Onoki. Even if it is him, there is no good way to face Chen Dun and light and heavy rock technique. He really can't think of a few people on Konoha's side who can behead and assassinate Onoki. But he couldn't think of the reason why Onoki was so demented. After a second or two, he decided he didn't want to. Now is not the time to hesitate or struggle. You sent technique from the sky, and sent me to the front line. Anyway, the situation has changed now, and we must retreat. Heaven sent technique. This. Master Raikage, this technique is used to send information. We can just send the information, there is no need for this risk. Captain Anbu was dumbfounded. Send Raikage? In case something goes wrong, Cloud Shinobi Village really collapses. We must go to the front line, otherwise I may have his own ideas, and Konoha may not let them go easily. We will lose more if I don't go. Third Raikage is categorical. Can follow orders. Yes. Tiansong technique can transmit information, but man, it was the first time he tried it, and his heart was trembling when performing the technique in case something happened. Suicide would not be enough to apologize. And the front line at this time. Konoha's troops have already put a lot of distance, and Cloud Shinobi Village is also advancing layer by layer. Under Orochimaru's perfect battlefield micromanagement, I and Killer Bee didn't find any abnormalities at all. Orochimaru, I have received news that the west side has won, and Minato is now with Kyochi and Onoki, ready to break the road to the border of the Land of Thunder. When did this happen? Orochimaru sat up slightly. Even if it was him, he couldn't help losing his composure at this time. Won? Onogi also attacked Cloud Shinobi Village together? How is this possible? This is too fast. I won yesterday. Last night, Onogi set off to return to the country to prepare for manpower. Now he has arrived in the country of thunder. Jiraiya was overwhelmed with excitement. It really did. He has no way of knowing Minato's role in this battle. Everyone must have contributed to the quick victory, and the key now is the battle in the east. Very good. Orochimaru was also a little excited. He thought he had to hold on for a longer time. He was thinking about whether to put more distance just now, but there are some villages in the country of fire in the past. Let Cloud Shinobi come over, the consequences are unpredictable. Now there is no need to worry about it anymore, the time to fight back has come. Kyochi, what do they say? Nothing to say, let us decide for ourselves. That's right, we are familiar with the battlefield here. They don't know anything about the status quo, and they will intervene rashly and cause trouble. Wait. When Cloud Shinobi Village retreats, we will catch up and fight. Orochimaru suppressed his excitement. Can't do it yet. But you can monitor it first. He quickly issued another order, one by one, to Hyuga, Aburame and other members of the ninja family who are good at scouting, asking them to monitor Cloud Shinobi's movements layer by layer. However, not long after, he received the message. Third Raikage is back. It's a good thing they didn't do it right away, otherwise they would be in serious trouble now. Third Raikage is teleported back, and Cloud Shinobi also has a technique similar to Flying Thunder God? Jiraiya is incredible. It can't be the kind of Flying Thunder God. I guess only Third Raikage can withstand the backlash. His lightning-style armor and body are too strong. Orochimaru licked his lips. As a witness to the battle between Third Raikage and Eight Tails, he knew very well how powerful that Raikage was. Even if he joined Jiraiya, he might not be able to defeat him. I really want to catch it and study it. Pity. It's almost a luxury. Third Raikage went to the front line, and Konoha's side was shrinking immediately. Father, why are you back? I puzzled. Didn't Third Raikage say it's good to guard against Mist Shinobi's sneak attack? What is the situation now? Third Raikage looked outside, then his heart sank, and he said coldly, before I left, I told you not to go any further, but now that you have pushed so far into the land of fire, you are not afraid of Konoha or other people wandering around. Go to the back and cut off our retreat. How is it possible? Konoha is in a bloody battle with Onoki in the west, and they are suppressed by us in the front. How can they have spare power? I knew nothing about the crisis in the rear. Third Raikage sneered and said, no energy left. Onogi has brought people to the border of the land of thunder. If I come later, Orochimaru has brought people here. What? Ai's eyes widened in surprise. Onoki to the border of the land of thunder. How is this possible? Listen to my order, the whole army retreats. Give up all the unimportant things, and now the priority is to withdraw to the Kingdom of Thunder. Yes. Although Third Raikage has gradually handed over certain powers to Ai to handle the affairs of the village, at present Raikage is still the third generation, and his prestige among ninjas is not comparable to that of fourth generation Ainung. With an order, all the ninjas started to move. Not a moment. All the ninjas in the camp fled to the north. However, when they moved, Konoha also started to move. Orochimaru is a chicken thief. Third Raikage is indeed strong, but Orochimaru doesn't fight him directly. On the way back, the whole forest is full of giant snakes and parasites. In addition, thick fog spreads all over the forest. This is Mist Shinobi art. Cloud Shinobi have the same thoughts as Onogi at the moment. Mist Shinobi is too good. The housekeeping ninjutsu has been learned by Konoha, so why not call it Kirigakure, change the name as soon as possible. The more he walked back, the more Ai realized that Orochimaru was difficult to deal with. The opponent's methods seemed weak, and the lethality was not strong, but he was quite disgusting. Regardless of his own losses, let it go. They also couldn't catch Konoha's people. Highlight a disgusting. Mist Shinobi technique, silent assassination technique. Have they used it before? Third Raikage's heart is heavy. Not at all. It's the first time I've met. Damn it. This Orochimaru knows how to play tricks, and Mist Shinobi is also a bunch of trash. Konoha stole all his skills. I was furious. He tried to attack, but the opponent had learned the Mist Shinobi technique and the silent assassination technique to the bone, and in a sense, it was even more subtle than many Mist Shinobi ninjas. For the first time since the war started, he really understood what Sanin meant. As a qualified Raikage, you must know when to vent your anger and when to control your emotions. Third Raikage didn't use his usual stern tone, but it worried Ai even more than that. Father, this is to die. Ai is still young. If there is anything he can't do in the future, I hope you can point him out. Master Raikage, we're not there yet, are we? A trace of astonishment appeared on Toshiro's face. Raikage's tone was full of determination, as if he was telling the funeral and entrusting the village. Father, I can take everyone back, I hurriedly said. Third Raikage finally laughed when he heard this sentence, and said while running, yes, being a Raikage should have such courage. No matter how difficult the situation is, you must have the courage to break through everything. Yes. I secretly made up his mind, and then ran forward first, planning to open the way ahead and protect everyone by the way. Killer Bee followed suit. Third Raikage didn't block, and didn't even make much of a shot. However, Orochimaru's offensive is getting stronger and stronger, but the Konoha Shinobi players don't last long for each shot, and they basically go away with one hit. Although Ai and Bai are fast, They can't cause substantial damage to Konoha's ninjas if they don't dare to chase deeply. On the contrary, his subordinates are constantly injured. Although there are medical ninjas to help, the speed of the large army is much slower. Master Raikage, together, we can return to the Land of Thunder. After all, the war damage is not too great. Are you as naive as I? According to Anbu's information, Onogi personally went to the Land of Thunder, and this posture is to cut a piece of meat from our Cloud Shinobi village. He is clear about the situation ahead. Orochimaru's current means are only to consume their chakra and physical strength. The real crisis is not in the Land of Fire. The closer they got to the Land of Thunder, the stronger the obstacles and enemies they faced, and the more tired the Cloud Shinobi were. But he dare not stay. If the West Side really ended the war, wait for Konoha West Side's troops to arrive. Then Cloud Shinobi is really over. The effect of Eye and Killer Bee is still there, at least Orochimaru's snake was cleaned up a lot by them, and the pressure on the ninja behind was reduced a lot. However, after leaving the Land of Fire, the crisis really came. Konoha started a real fight, and a new ninja force appeared in the rear. Konoha's guard team also joined the battle, and the leader was the guard captain Uchiha Fugaku. The pressure suddenly increased. Compare. Yes. Ai and Bai joined forces, and a thunderbolt suddenly appeared on their bodies. The speed of the two was extremely fast, and they rushed to the front in the blink of an eye. The blocking Jonin only had time to release a water barrier. But, wow! With a hand knife, the water barrier was split open. Lateral bolt of pain. Next moment, a figure passed by quickly. Before Konoha's Jonin could react, the two of them hooked their wrists around his neck, one behind the other. Follow closely. Gaw! With a crisp sound, the two figures rushed forward. Do you want to make a move? It's too expensive to let them go, and it's too expensive to keep them. Let Onoki have a headache. Jiraiya shook her head and gave the order to retreat. Ai and Bai's strength exceeded his expectations, and the tacit understanding between the two was very high, and they could display terrifying combat effectiveness when they cooperated with each other. There is no need for Konoha to die. There are also Onoki and Rock Shinobi behind, and they will be very good as long as they consume part of it. Abi didn't rush to cross the line of defense, but hunted around. Konoha Shinobi retreated quickly, but still suffered a lot of damage, which shows how strong these two are. But this outburst has not come without a price. Their physical strength was exhausted rapidly, and after clearing a safe enough passage, they were already out of breath, and it was almost impossible to fight with such strength. However, there is still the most difficult hurdle ahead. Rock Shinobi, Onoki. A piece of Earth-style fortifications. Looking around, people can't help but wonder whose border this is. Third Raikage came to the forefront. Father, I can charge again, and I will take everyone back to Cloud Shinobi village. I endured the exhaustion and said. Killer Bee didn't speak at the side, but stood firmly with I. Enough, I. Third Raikage raised his fist to punch, but after thinking about it, he changed his fist to a stroking. I's eyes were red. He lowered his head and said, I'm sorry father, it's my irrationality that brought Cloud Shinobi village to this point. I can't blame you, you have done enough, let me open the way for you next, I want to see how many people Onogi has prepared to deal with me. From now on, you are the fourth Raikage. Third Raikage's robes were thrown away, revealing his battle attire. Subsequently, he took the lead and rushed to the front. Third Raikage deserves to be the strongest Raikage. Kyoshi sighed. The shadow of one village opens the way for others. This kind of situation is not uncommon, but it is far less shocking than the scene of Third Raikage, one person in front, with an invincible momentum comparable to 1,000 troops. Not fast. But this oppressive force made all Rock Shinobi nervous, including Onoki. Kyoshi, Minato, you must not break your word. Onoki's face was serious. Of course, we will help you stop the Third Raikage together. Kyoshi pronounces, help you, very emphatically. If Onogi asked them to go up to deal with Third Raikage, then they would not do it. The current Third Raikage probably has the determination to die in battle, and anyone who obstructs him will be met with a desperate counterattack. Onoki nodded. Each released the light and heavy rock technique to the two, allowing them to go faster and even fly. He is very clear. To deal with Third Raikage, the main force is of course him, but at the same time, the cooperation of Kyoshi and Minato is indispensable. He needed someone to entangle Third Raikage, otherwise it would be impossible for Dust Dungeon to hit. Onoki, you just want to keep us? Third Raikage is only a few hundred meters away. Behind him, a group of Cloud Shinobi followed, and he was already full of silver and electricity. Enough. Onoki floated up, looked at him and sighed, actually, I don't want to deal with you, but I lost, so I can only accept Konoha's conditions. Friends of Cloud Shinobi, don't listen to his nonsense. We, Konoha, have always been friendly to the outside world, and only fight back. It was Onoki himself who proposed to deal with you, and it has nothing to do with us. A sentence came out of Rock Shinobi. Both Third Raikage and Onoki were dumbfounded. Onoki didn't expect Kyochi to dare to speak directly, but Third Raikage was really confused. What's going on? In Rock Shinobi, there are Konoha supervisors. The next moment, he saw two figures emerging from the dirt wall. About 20 years old, wearing a Konoha forehead protector. And they didn't look like they were coerced, but rather like Onoki being coerced. Faced with the young man's rebuttal, Onoki didn't even open his mouth to refute. Third Raikage couldn't read it. How could Iwagakure, one of the 5 great ninja villages, surrender so completely? But he was also stunned for a second or two. Soon, there was a flash of lightning on Third Raikage's body, and the lightning-style armor and lightning-style chakra mode were upgraded to the strongest state, and then the whole person was like a stream of light, killing towards the earth wall. Whatever happened to Rock Shinobi and Konoha? Anyway, it is impossible to simply let them go back, so let's talk. Minato, don't be too aggressive later, save your life. I understand, but you, be careful. The two communicated in low voices. Then, call out. Minato threw a shuriken, and after a few seals, the shuriken turned into thousands, overwhelming the Cloud Shinobi, with 1 or 2 kunai mixed in. Onoki is no stranger to this technique, but this kind of thing is probably not even afraid of their Rock Shinobi. And another. Kyochi hasn't made a move yet, and seems to be waiting for Third Raikage to get closer. However, at this moment, a blue light lights up. Third Raikage's complexion changed suddenly, his palms together, and his 4 fingers closed together. Highly concentrated lightning-style chakra, cut to Kyochi like a knife. One knife, one hand. Scoff, after a slight sound, the light of the knife flashed, and the light froze. I and Bai are behind and try to deal with Kyochi, but that guy rushed straight into the sky just now. Fly. They were stunned for a moment, and then it was Doshiro who released the lava-style attack first, and then they realized that ninjutsu greeted Kyochi one after another. However, sheets of paper floated out, forming a pair of wings, together with the previously blessed light and heavy rock technique. At this moment Kyochi ran fast into the sky. Available at the same time, Namikaze Minato had already moved to Third Raikage's side in an instant, and the condensed chakra ball in his hand directly blasted towards Third Raikage's palm. The Third Raikage cannot be avoided at all. He can only condense chakra, 4 fingers into 3. 3 fingers across hands. With a swipe, Minato's Rasengan burst instantly, but at the same time, he found that the opponent's Rasengan contained wind-style chakra. Although it was not solid, the effect was mediocre. But he had just received a knife slash before, and now he received another Rasengan, and finally there was a slight flaw in the lightning-style armor in his hand. It's just this flaw. Laugh. Blood splatter. Third Raikage pointed at Minato and stabbed at him, wanting to exchange injuries for injuries, but in an instant, the opponent disappeared and appeared in another faraway direction. Suffering? He stopped breathing, his mind turned sharply, and he understood everything in an instant. This is a space-time ninjutsu based on kunai. The technique of Senju Tobarama. Go. Third Raikage's tone was anxious. Ai Wenshang looked at it, and suddenly his pupils shrank. Third Raikage's hands are bleeding. The other party actually broke his father's lightning-style armor? How is this possible? Get out. At first, Third Raikage thought that the number of people coming to Onoki was small, and he might not die after clearing the way, but now he fully understood that Onoki came for him. Bai and other Cloud Shinobi are not important. Let's go. Doshiro was short of breath, knowing that he could no longer take chances. The opponent came prepared. Instead of chasing him, Third Raikage turned around and charged towards Rock Shinobi, but it was Onoki who greeted him. Dust Escape Primary Realm Stripping Technique. A cylinder shot out. Third Raikage avoided it, but Cloud Shinobi behind him couldn't dodge it. 3 or 4 Cloud Shinobi were killed. But at this time, Third Raikage can no longer manage so many subordinates, he must open a way out for others. But the next moment, the sword light came again. Having suffered a loss once, Raikage understands the essence of this knife. Knife light is actually a highly condensed, almost materialized wind-style chakra, but the most terrifying thing is not knife, but light. It is both an illusion and an invisible wind blade, sharper than the chakra knife itself. The strongest defense has been broken. All Rock Shinobi were ecstatic, but Kyochi himself was not so satisfied. He teamed up with Minato and used their strongest wind-style attack methods, but the result was that they barely broke through the defense and caused a small wound. This injury. I'm afraid he can't even affect the third Raikage's action, and this is the first attack. The opponent is not mentally prepared. If he is mentally prepared, the result can be imagined. Onoki also understands, so he is not optimistic. And at this time, third Raikage had already rushed not far ahead. Regardless of the safety of some cloud shinobi, Onoki had nothing to do with him, and rushed to the front of the earth wall. Boom. There was an explosion. The detonator trap triggers. But it's useless, it doesn't break the defense at all. Third Raikage ran amok on the battlefield, looking for traps to step on, and directly waiting out a safe path. This is really awesome. Kyoshi admired it from the bottom of his heart. This one is really fierce, but at the moment, third Raikage can't be allowed to continue stepping on the mine. He turned around, and one of the knives had turned into a bandaged Samahata. Then, call out. The wind howled. Hearing the sound, third Raikage took out kunai with his left hand and turned to block. But the opponent's knife just passed by, and did not confront him head-on. In the next second, the knife in his left hand was as fast as lightning, and it almost hit his left hand holding kunai in the blink of an eye. Third Raikage looked serious. He found that the lightning-style armor in his left hand had been eaten by a lot of chakra for no reason. Not good. He made a quick decision. With a shaking of his hand, kunai attached to the lightning-style chakra, and flew out tremblingly at high speed. This root of suffering is like a hit, it is fatal. The key is. Third Raikage switched hands, blocked the knife with chakra's more position, and stabbed Kyoshi's body with his right hand. It's a 1-for-1 game. Boom. Third Raikage's finger jab was met by Namikaze Minato's Rasengan. It didn't hurt him, but it did block him for a moment. Just for a moment. There was a small wound on his arm. The next moment, the two disappeared instantly. Flying Thunder God. Third Raikage took a deep breath and recalled Senju Tobarama's technique in his mind. He had probably guessed it was this technique before. Now it seems that the opponent not only left a body flicker technique on kunai, but also a technique on this silver-haired ninja, so he was able to get close quickly. That is, when the opponent approaches him alone, it is equivalent to two people attacking. And just after dealing with Kyoshi and Minato, Onoki's dust escape came again. This time is not as good as before. Previously, no one blocked him, he could easily avoid Onoki's original boundary stripping technique, but this time, he just resisted the attacks of Kyoshi and Minato. Master Raikage. Tudai turned his head and saw Raikage was within the range of the dust escape, and panicked for a moment. If I hadn't punched him open, he might have been hit by several earth thorns at this time. Walk. I didn't look back. No matter what happened to his father at this time, his task was to bring everyone back. Make sure to break through the rock shinobi's defenses. The lightning-style chakra on his body was blazing, and Killer Bee followed behind, rushing towards the earth wall on the road that third Raikage waited without looking back. A dozen rock shinobi teams came to stop them. But their ninjutsu is ineffective against lightning-style chakra mode, and ninja tools and detonating charms are blocked by lightning-style armor. Although they cause some damage to eye, they are not fatal. Blink of an eye. He has already reached the bottom of the Tuliu city wall. Lateral bolt of pain. It's only one blow, but that one blow contains most of the chakra inside him. A hand knife. The earth wall collapsed suddenly, but behind the earth wall, there were still several lines of defense, and 20 or 30 rock shinobi teams surrounded them. The vast number of rock shinobi and ninjutsu made Ai and Killer Bee helpless. Onoki turned his head and wanted to take the opportunity to kill 4th generation Ai with the dust escape, but a kunai shot out from under the soil. Lightning-style kunai with high-frequency vibration. Any defensive ninjutsu is useless in front of it. Onoki turned his attention back. The next moment, he saw the original position of dust done, and third Raikage jumped out of the soil. At the last moment, he kicked hard and stepped on the soft ground where the detonator had exploded into a big hole, and escaped by the hole the range of dust escape. At this moment, third Raikage was disgraced and embarrassed. But he survived. And heading straight for rock shinobi's defenses. Kyoshi, Minato attack. Block the knife that sucks chakra, and ignore everything else. The wounds proliferated. But he bought time, and in the blink of an eye, he had already rushed to the earth wall. Then, he hit the earth wall like a human shell. Boom. The earth wall collapsed, and third Raikage charged into the crowd of rock shinobi. His fingers were the strongest spears, and any defense was useless against it. In the blink of an eye, several rock shinobi were killed. Most of those who died were Jonin. Kyoshi and Minato chased after them fiercely, but their speed seemed to be a bit short. They caught up after third Raikage rushed into the crowd, but at this time, third Raikage had already killed dozens of rock shinobi and disturbed rock shinobi's side. A mess. Taking this opportunity, the Cloud Shinobi troop broke through the first line of defense of Rock Shinobi from another gap, and fought with many Rock Shinobi behind. Here, you can vaguely see a lot of ninja battles between Rock Shinobi and Thunder Country, but the number of Rock Shinobi is limited after all. As long as he breaks through the second path and cooperates with the ninjas from the Kingdom of Thunder, it is not difficult to escape from death. But the difficulty lies in the second line of defense. Most of them are at the end of their strength, especially Killer Bee and Tudai. The three of them have been charging forward, and chakra consumes the most. Brother, I'm going forward, you go first. Killer Bee has two swords like lightning, and Chakra, the tailed beast, emerges from him. Bye, you bastard. You must survive. I'll teach you a lesson when you become stronger. I burst into tears. Killer Bee and him are not biological brothers, but the tacit understanding between them is better than that of brothers, and they have already understood each other's plans without saying much. Killer Bee wants to use the tail beast to open up a way for everyone. He can't help it. Because Ai's own chakra has also been exhausted, breaking through the earthen wall and breaking into the defense line just now is his last strength. In this war, he paid the price for his recklessness and carelessness. Of course, idiot, bastard. Killer Bee cursed rhythmically while slashing, and at the end, Chakra the tailed beast emerged. His knife vibrated at a high frequency, and thunder and lightning lingered on it. Sonic lightning style knife. With two knives together, any earth-style ninjutsu is hard to block at all, and around him, the tailed beast coat forms a layer of protection, and octopus tails grow out at the same time. Those tails became weapons too. The other Cloud Shinobi followed and followed Killer Bee's route, expanding the gap step by step, heading towards the land of thunder. Kyochi, you don't do it yet. Onoki was in a hurry, and at the same time he was very angry. The two guys were paddling as soon as they saw it. He doesn't have a clear understanding of Namikaze Minato's strength, but he knows Kyochi's strength, and his speed is definitely much faster than it is now. Ahem. Minato just now chakra didn't recover, now take third Raikage away immediately. Kyochi winked at Minato. Minato was speechless. Throwing away the pot again? Almost done. Not your idea yet. But Minato didn't say much. It is in Konoha's interest to let third Raikage kill more Rock Shinobi, and if he had taken third Raikage away just now, he might have left third Raikage to deal with Ai and Killer Bee first. Everyone is not a good thing, who doesn't know who? The next moment, Kyochi's speed suddenly doubled. Open the door, open. Blink of an eye. He had already flown in front of third Raikage, and then, Minato appeared next to him. Kyochi used Samahata to cut away part of the lightning-style chakra, and Minato used wind-style chakra to protect his palm, and then pressed against third Raikage. Lightning-style chakra is offset by wind-style. Third Raikage wanted to avoid it, but in the next second, after a moment of weightlessness and confusion, he appeared in another position when his sight was restored. Flying Thunder God technique, send him far. This is the special kunai that Minato just arranged in advance. Third Raikage was stunned for a moment, then he vomited blood. Flying Thunder God is so dirty, Senju Tobarama guy. What purpose did he come up with this disgusting ninjutsu? He pulled up the kunai on the ground and crushed it directly with his palm. Then, keep going. No way. They are still in the Rock Shinobi crowd. If he left, the other party turned around and killed Ai and the others, even if he survived, but Cloud Shinobi has no future, so what's the point? Onoki was ecstatic at first. People sent away directly? Wonderful. But the next moment, he saw third Raikage not far away, and killed him back in the blink of an eye. Why don't you send it away? Chakra consumes a lot and is slow, it is impossible to succeed. Alright, just listen carefully. Onoki was helpless. Fortunately, even in this short period of time, he can do a lot of things. Dust escape primary realm stripping technique. He cast a spell and threw it towards Ai secretly. The boy chakra and his physical strength were almost exhausted, and it was basically impossible to escape. Onoki. How dare you? Third Raikage is very fast, this time he really doesn't care about Kyochi and Minato. Samahata, knife? Do not care. A long and narrow cut was drawn directly on the arm. The blood was splashing, but he didn't stop, and went directly to Rock Shinobi, throwing several kunai and detonating charms halfway, all of which were aimed at Chong Onoki. But after arriving here, he saw that Ai was thrown into the distance, and 2 or 3 of Killer Bee's tails were annihilated. He saved Ai. Ai was thrown out by Killer Bee. Immediately afterwards, Killer Bee's tail grew rapidly and his body spun like a top. Double swords, 8 tails. Basically, he used all the weapons available in his body, forced a bloody path, and killed Ai before he landed, and was rescued by Tudai. Killer Bee and 8 tails are really compatible. After breaking the seal, Eight Tails actually offered to help him. Outrageous. Kyoshi sighed inwardly. But that's just as well. Anyway, he didn't intend to kill 4th generation I. 3rd Raikage must die, but if 4th generation also dies, then Cloud Shinobi Village will be directly separated, and Onogi and Kirigakure will be unstoppable. Onoki. 3rd Raikage was furious, with hands like knives, looking for someone to fight in the crowd. No rock shinobi can block a shot from him, including Jonin. Onogi sees the consequences of angering 3rd Raikage. 3rd Raikage has gone mad. He can't dodge the attacks of Kyoshi and Minato, and uses them in combination with one hand and black lightning. Wounds are increasing. Rock shinobi deaths are also surging. Inomu wished to kill him, but he knew that if he went to fight hand to hand, he would not be an opponent at all. In Chen Dun's words. Unless he kills his own people together. If he can kill 3rd Raikage by sacrificing a few rock shinobi, he still thinks it's not a loss. Afraid to be afraid of death teammates, the opponent is not dead yet. Onoki didn't dare to bet. He can only hope that Kyoshi and Minato will work harder, but the two have worked very hard. Wind-style swordsmanship, Flying Thunder God, and Rasengan are used one after another. Such a performance is worth the price, but 3rd Raikage has already taken precautions, and it is not so easy to get close. Certainly. This is because the 7-day call is useless. After all, that thing consumes life, it's just to make money, there's no need to spend life on it. 5 million is not worth it. At the same time, the effect of light and heavy rock technique gradually weakens, and the speed slows down. Onoki instantly got down. A stick with the palm of your hand. Kyoshi felt lighter and faster than before. Hurry up. Master Tsuchikage was wronged. Mine is forbidden technique, it can't be used easily. Add money. Onoki gritted his teeth. He is very clear that Kyoshi is only working hard, but not doing his best now, because the ice escape and the ability of sudden acceleration have never been used, and the flying detonator has never appeared from the beginning to the end. Obviously, this is not Kyoshi's full strength. For Konoha and Rock Shinobi's friendship, even the forbidden technique can only be used. As soon as Kyoshi finished speaking, the figure disappeared with a whoosh. The next moment, 3rd Raikage saw a blurry figure appear in front of his eyes. Kanda Kyoshi? He turned around to avoid it, but the opponent's speed increased sharply, more than twice as fast as before, and this time he didn't use the knife again, but kick. Boom, so fast. The foot collided with 3rd Raikage's body, making a loud noise. A thought flashed through 3rd Raikage's mind. In the next second, he was kicked out. It hurts. Not only that, because the feet are covered with ice, the lightning of the lightning-style armor has no effect on him, and 3rd Raikage's regular hand is also ineffective because it does not touch Kyoshi. This foot doesn't hurt much. But under the huge force, 3rd Raikage couldn't stop in the air for a while, and this kick seemed to have other tricks, which made him lose control of his body, and his hands and feet were extremely chaotic. At the same time, in the direction where he was kicked away, a ball of light was flying towards him. Dust Escape Primary Realm Stripping Technique. With the efforts of 3rd Raikage, he finally threw a detonating talisman. Boom. There was an explosion. He was blasted to the ground by the detonator. Minato was stunned for a moment, and then quickly turned over, trying to hit 3rd Raikage towards Chen Dun, but at this time, 3rd Raikage had already controlled some of the body operations under the nervous system rupture. Body Flicker Technique. In the blink of an eye, he was behind Namikaze Minato. So fast. Minato was frightened and quickly escaped with Flying Thunder God. 3rd Raikage missed a shot, but he bought a lot of time, and his body gradually adapted to the rhythm of nervous system rupture. At this moment, Kyoshi came to him again. The twin swords spread out like eagle wings. Shish. A sharp wind whistle sounded. 3rd Raikage tries to dodge, but Kyoshi is blessed with super light and heavy rock technique, coupled with the speed of his own body flicker technique. How can 3rd Raikage run better? Slash with 2 swords. One knife broke through the lightning-style armor, and the second knife accurately hit the same position, cutting a bloody mouth, followed by the third knife. From Kyoshi's mouth spit out a skate with rich wind-style chakra. 3rd Raikage shifted his hand to block it. However, there is one more foot. Strange power technique, nervous system rupture. 3rd Raikage was kicked out again. He quickly gathered chakra, tried to stop himself with lightning-style ninjutsu, only to find that his body was messed up again. Wrong. To be precise, this kid recovered his body. So he used the previous rhythm. Instead, it got messed up again. 3rd Raikage was in a hurry. If this torture continued, something would happen sooner or later. But he glanced at the distance, and at this time, most of Cloud Shinobi had already rushed through the defense line, and the rest also retreated slowly under the cover of Killer Bee. while Rock Shinobi has a third line of defense. Behind that there is Cloud Shinobi. They are safe. Third Raikage grinned, and boom! The lightning exploded under his feet, and with the help of the lightning boost, he counteracted Kyochi's impact, and then the black lightning raged around him, directly repelling Kyochi and Minato. However, Onoki's dust escape came in an incomparably tricky manner. Although Third Raikage uses thunderstorm recoil to speed up, he doesn't know the speed in the air, and Onoki is an expert in this field. How can he be inaccurate? Although there was an accident, Kei Chendon still hit part of it. Third Raikage had one hand devoured, but he was even crazier. The black lightning formed a spherical field. Kyochi and Minato didn't dare to approach at all, and then saw this black lightning rushing into the crowd of Rock Shinobi again. The moving black thunder, like a death storm, devours all surrounding enemies. And he ran rampant all the way, and even wanted to join the Cloud Shinobi army. Stop him. Onoki was in a hurry. Losing so many people, if they are still run away, it will not only be a matter of immediate loss. What will Cloud Shinobi do to stop him from retaliating later? Rock Shinobi's ninjutsu were released one after another. Rock pillars, dungeons, earthquake cores. As long as you can trap Third Raikage for a moment, anything will work, and Onoki and Rock Shinobi are already crazy enough to kill Third Raikage no matter the cost. Kyochi didn't chase anymore. He knew that Third Raikage would not survive. Third Raikage is not in the state of impure world reincarnation now. Chakra has a limit, and lightning-style armor, Yichenshu and Black Thunder are all techniques that consume chakra very much. Even cage-level ninjas can't take out that much chakra. What he is consuming now is life. A worthy opponent. There is always a price to pay for starting a war. We Konoha are not afraid of war, and we cannot forgive the invaders hastily, and we have already given face. If we use the sealing technique. Kyochi whispered something, then shook his head slightly. They didn't use sealing. Otherwise, no matter how powerful Third Raikage is, the combination of Samahata, wind-style swordsmanship, and ice escape will always have a way to open the gap in the lightning-style armor and allow Minato to fill in the sealing spell. The four-element seal process is complicated and may not take enough time, but simple spells such as the Seal of Evil and the Seal of Five Elements can completely achieve instant effects. Even a little interference can be quite deadly in cage-level duels, where Third Raikage loses faster. Therefore, he has shown mercy. Master Raikage. Killer Bee saw Third Raikage killing him, and wanted to go there to meet him, but the next moment, he saw Third Raikage turn around and kill him back, and the Rock Shinobi who had surrounded him also went to stop Third Raikage. Idiot. His current chakra comes from life. Even if you save him, he is only a dying person. The power I gave you is not invincible. Be rational. The most important thing now is to survive. A deep voice rang in Killer Bee's head. Third Raikage is one of the few people who can defeat him head-on. Yuki really admires him, and the opponent's performance at this moment is also a respectable strongman. But Third Raikage really cannot be saved. Killer Bee fought back, but the end result was nothing. Although it is very unhappy to be sealed in the human body, it has to be said that there are very few Jinchuriki who can communicate and chat with him at present, and Yuki does not want to die together like this. Even if it can be revived, but it takes time to be resurrected, and it is hard to say whether he will be arrested again after the resurrection. Times have changed. In today's ninja world, there are really a lot of strong people, and the Sage of Six Paths that covered him is gone. Rather than fighting for an uncertain future, it is better to try to get along with this silly boy. Killer Bee naturally didn't know what Yuki was thinking. He was struggling at this time, and he could see that Third Raikage turned back to kill Rock Shinobi, which seemed to create a chance for him to escape, and he knew that Third Raikage didn't want to save him either. If you can't make a choice, let me make it for you. Yuki smiled grimly. Then, the power of the tailed beast rioted, and the tailed beast transformed by Killer Bee rushed to the land of thunder, leaving Third Raikage alone. The black lightning is still raging, but Third Raikage's chakra is no longer as powerful as before, and his speed is obviously much slower. Even so, it is not something that the surrounding Rock Shinobi can resist. Until later. He couldn't even break through the stone wall of earth style, and was trapped inside by a layer of earth walls and rock pillars, and there was a dull sound of earth wall breaking inside. Rock Shinobi dare not relax. It took a long time until the sound was silent, and Onogi made people undo the ninjutsu. The Third Raikage inside has fallen to the ground. The Black Thunder is powerless to bloom again. Even such a mighty Third Raikage cannot avoid death. Orochimaru sighed under his breath. They followed, intending to take action depending on the situation, but looking at it now, there was no need for their help. Third Raikage might not have died if it wasn't for the addition of Kyochi and Minato. Jiraiya thought for a while and then answered, Cloud Shinobi is too aggressive, they have been waging war. Third Raikage is not dead. We will face another war with Cloud Shinobi in up to 5 years, and by then, his son will also get stronger. You think I care about the means of killing him? Of course not, I'm just convincing myself, starting a war. Death is not a pity. Jiraiya got up and left silently. Dead, finally dead. Rock Shinobi is about to collapse. Alone, Third Raikage has killed more ninjas than all the other Cloud Shinobi combined. Onoki looked at the corpses all over the floor, and cold sweat came down his forehead. This is still Kyoshi, Minato shot. If Konoha hadn't been asked for help, how tragic would the current battle situation be? He can't imagine. At this moment, looking at the corpses all over the place, I feel melancholy. Excluding the confidant, but with so many Rock Shinobi. Does it worth? Onoki sighed softly. Whether it is worth it or not, it seems that there is no choice. After all, it is not he who wants to send troops to deal with Cloud Shinobi village, but Konoha defeated them, so he can only choose this way if there is no other way. It's going to be a loss anyway, so why not lose some value? Thinking about it this way, it seems a little more acceptable. Although Third Raikage died, no one dared to approach Rock Shinobi. Everyone backed away, leaving a road and a small open field, and Onoki fell down. Kyoshi and Minato come from behind. Master Tsuchikage, what are you going to do with Third Raikage's body? This, Onoki hesitated. Completely destroyed, some offended Cloud Shinobi village too much, but sending it back, it seems that Cloud Shinobi village will not thank him for it. It's very confusing. He hesitated for a moment, looked at Minato who spoke, and said, I plan to return Third Raikage's body to Cloud Shinobi village, but I, Rock Shinobi, can't get involved in this matter. Why don't you too? No, we're just asking. Kyoshi spoke first. Onoki is so aggressive, he really squeezes when he sees an honest person, and fights what he has. Minato just asked, and this guy asked them to go directly, which made it seem like the two of them didn't make a move about Third Raikage. Onoki choked suddenly, he knew it was difficult. If he really sent someone there, I, who was so angry, could kill him directly. Unless you go in person. But, wouldn't it be more provocative to go there in person? After thinking for a long time, Onoki sighed and said, it seems that we have to leave the person here, and hope that the corpse will not be taken away by wild beasts before the Cloud Shinobi arrive. This. Isn't it good? Minato hesitated for a moment. Exposing corpses in the wilderness, if any beast or bird destroys the corpse, it is disrespectful to the dead, and the body of a ninja contains many secrets, especially cage-level ninjas like Raikage, who are the targets of many ninjas. Once the body is missing, Cloud Shinobi village is likely to throw the pot on Konoha's head. Otherwise, I'd like to trouble you both for a walk. Speaking of which, the second generation of your village died at the hands of Cloud Shinobi. It's normal for you to come and go in war. Onoki coughed lightly. His purpose, of course, is to hope that Minato will take a trip. There is the Flying Thunder God, who can catch him? If Kyoshi wasn't there, I might have succeeded in fooling around now, but unfortunately. The kid doesn't see the rabbit and doesn't scatter the eagle. It was obviously beneficial to both parties, but it turned out to be as embarrassing as it is now. Master Tsuchikage, 1 is 1, 2 is 2, we are hiring a mission, killing Third Raikage is not within our scope of responsibility. If we send Third Raikage back, is there an extra mission? Then this task level, is it at least S level or higher? Kyoshi wants to have a good break with Onoki. Want a whore for nothing? What about S rank missions? Onoki smiled and said, but I, Rock Shinobi, have already offended Cloud Shinobi village, and I don't mind offending some more. There is no need to send people back. This is what you proposed. That's true, then we have nothing to do with Iwagakure sending people back. Saying that, Kyoshi took out the sealing scroll. Onoki frowned. He knew what Kyoshi meant. This guy. I want to separate the giving away from Rock Shinobi, so that I can try to please. If he pays, the kid will take them with him, but. As Onoki himself said. Regardless of whether he can pay or send people back, given the nature of this matter, it is impossible for Cloud Shinobi village to reconcile with Rock Shinobi. If there is no war now, there will be a collision sooner or later. He said in a deep voice. If Fourth Raikage wants to fight, I, Iwagakure, am not afraid of fighting. The corpse. You Konoha will send it back, and I will thank you too for your action. That's fine. Kyoshi nodded, sealed the corpse inside, then gave Minato a wink and walked towards Cloud Shinobi village. Orochimaru frowned. This kid. Want to send the body back? Picture what? He doesn't understand. At this time, Cloud Shinobi village is like a pan of oil, and any outsider who goes there will be splashed with oil. Konoha is no exception. Certainly. Most of all, he didn't feel any need. The attitude of Cloud Shinobi village, is it important? Send it back. Cloud Shinobi Village will become stronger in the future, and it will still invade the Land of Fire. This is the Battle of Ninja Village, but these two idiots are really gone. He hesitated for a moment, but still quietly chased after him. Kyoshi, I'm sorry, I'll leave this matter alone. When the Flying Thunder God comes out, there shouldn't be any danger. Minato looked apologetic. It was his intention to send the corpse, but in the end he asked Kyoshi to follow him, and he felt a little sorry. Kyoshi shook his head and said, even without you, I would still send it back. No matter what the relationship between Raikage and our Konoha is, death is nothing. You think so too? This is only half true. Kyoshi wasn't that generous. The reason why he sent the body back was because he didn't want others to pick it up. For example, certainly, it could also be Orochimaru. Third Raikage's physical value is not small, but this kind of research is more taboo. Allowing Black Zetsu to gain is tantamount to increasing Madara's strength, and Orochimaru. Third Raikage is powerful because he has developed the lightning-style armor in Yitongshu to ultimate, which is something on the level of surgery, and the physical strength is purely exercised by physical skills. So, his corpse is not of much research value at all. Orochimaru removed impure world reincarnation, the rest is really useless and a waste of time and energy. Sending back to Cloud Shinobi Village is a good fortune anyway. Minato breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Kyoshi say his thoughts. But he didn't change his mind. It's fine to send the corpse alone. You will have someone to take care of you outside later. This kind of dangerous thing definitely can't enter the body. We both have to use Shadow Clone. Kyoshi shakes his head. Just as he was about to continue speaking, he sensed the next chakra fluctuation. Follow closely. A figure emerges from the ground. I knew Kyoshi-kun was cautious, and he couldn't act recklessly. It's Orochimaru, he is still there. Kyoshi was speechless. To be honest, it's hard to say whether Black Zetsu will be there, but Orochimaru thinks there is a high probability that he will come to see it, but he guessed it right, and he and Minato escorted him, and he took the initiative to catch up. Orochimaru licked his lips and said, Kyoshi-kun, I have a small request. You want a corpse? No, I just want to see. Orochimaru's voice was hoarse. Minato frowned, apparently not agreeing, but Orochimaru was his elder. But Orochimaru seems to be at odds with Kyoshi's peers. The corner of his mouth twitched, looking in Kyoshi's direction. When the clinker arrived, Kyoshi was decisive and took out the sealing scroll directly to release Third Raikage's body. Orochimaru crouched down feverishly. Look and see, don't do it. Kyoshi is very direct with Orochimaru and doesn't hide his thoughts at all. Orochimaru smiled and drew his hand back. He looked around carefully, and then sighed. As expected of the strongest Raikage in Cloud Shinobi Village, the strength of his body is too terrifying. It's a pity that such a person can't escape death in the end. On land, few people can defeat him, Kyoshi said. Orochimaru heard the subtext. Not on land, but not in the sky or in the water. After thinking about it, it is true. The light and heavy rocks of Onoki in the sky are destined to have the upper hand. Unless someone can figure out a way to fly at the same speed, he will be crushed in front of Onoki. As for the water, after the death of Senju Tobarama, who can compare to the present Kyoshi? Thank you. Orochimaru nodded slightly, and lost interest in Third Raikage. Although Third Raikage is strong, he is not beyond the scope of human beings. There are many ways to deal with him, although the difficulty is relatively high, they cannot survive. Impossible not to die. What good research is there? He sighed, then quickly collected his mood, raised his head and said, I was worried that you were not cautious enough, but now, I think I'm overthinking it. Master Orochimaru is here, how about going in together? You go. I'm outside to meet you. Orochimaru shook his head. After all, he had released 8 tails back then, and he was worried that Gyuki would recognize his aura. Kyoshi and Minato split Shadow Clone. The two avatars took the scrolls to Cloud Shinobi Village, while the main body waited for the feedback from the avatars with Orochimaru. Orochimaru sat there pondering. Minato hesitated to speak, and Kyoshi. He looked at the two of them, thought for a while, and said firstly, you two, have you noticed Cloud Shinobi's 8 tails Jinchuriki? I saw Third Raikage went, but I didn't pay attention there. Minato thought for a moment, and frowned slightly, but that Jinchuriki seems to have completely unlocked the seal. When I came, I saw the two of you besieging Third Raikage. The form of that Jinchuriki should be in the state of completely releasing the seal and releasing the power of the tailed beast. Orochimaru said. He didn't know the cause and effect, so he finished his basic judgment and looked at Kyoshi. I once fought with 4 tails Jinchuriki. I have been a Jinchuriki for more than 20 years. I have studied tail beasts quite deeply, But once I become this state, I will go crazy. But Cloud Shinobi's 8 Tails Jinchuriki does not seem to exist. Kind of problem. Kyochi reminded. Actually, Kyochi is more of a reminder to Minato. Orochimaru is just incidental. It seems. Indeed. Minato just didn't pay attention, but it's not that he didn't see it, and being reminded by Kyochi, the blurred part of his mind became much clearer. 8 tails saved I with their tails. This is definitely not what the runaway Jinchuriki can do. Could it be that? There is only one possibility. After breaking the seal, 8 tails took the initiative to help him. Incredible. That kid. There is a way to get 8 tails to help him. Orochimaru has a lot of research on Jinchuriki, otherwise he would not be able to complete the coquettish operation of drugging Gyuki and letting Gyuki know nothing about it. So, after thinking about it for a while, he understood the truth. Offering to help? Minato was surprised. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something, and a hint of understanding appeared on his face. He probably thought of something. Kyochi knew that the reason Minato didn't say anything was probably because Orochimaru was here, but not a big problem. Just understand each other. At this time, a snake appeared and climbed onto Orochimaru. The next moment, Orochimaru squinted his eyes, then looked at the two of them. Anyway, there's nothing to do. Why don't we go and watch Mist Shinobi? It seems that they haven't finished yet. Mist Shinobi hasn't left yet. Kyochi was surprised. Rock Shinobi is about to run away, but is he still fighting there? This is too much. Go and see. The three of them are fast, and it doesn't take much time to go from the country of thunder to the north. Not much time. They saw a thick fog. Kirigakure's ninjas are fighting Cloud Shinobi, and they haven't left yet. To be precise. Not all go away. Some of them have already boarded the boat and floated away in the sea, while the remaining few boats are still here. Master Orochimaru, what is the situation? Minato doesn't understand. Is Mist Shinobi still infighting? The elders in the family in Kirigakure have a lot of power. If Mizukage is normal, these are not a problem. But once Mizukage is in trouble, the village will see whether these elders can be unified. Kyochi explained. Obviously. Those left here may be those Mist Shinobi ninjas who did not obey Yagura's order, and Mist Shinobi's large force has basically evacuated with Yagura. Many families are like this. Seeing the slightest benefit, they even forget about life and death. Orochimaru felt it. The same is true of Kirigakure's ninja family, and it is also true of Konoha's side. But the good thing about Konoha is that there are families such as Sarutobi, Nara, and Yamanaka, which form the cornerstone of Konoha. Even if some families have problems, it is difficult to shake the foundation of Konoha. Kirigakure is different. Ghost Lantern, Snow Clan, Wei Yoruichi Clan. A family with one mind. It's no wonder that such a village is not chaotic. Family, isn't there a way to live in harmony? Minato frowned. He knew what Orochimaru was alluding to. Uchiha. The current situation, isn't it just the situation of Konoha and Uchiha? Of course there are, old man. Well, although my teacher has some problems in some aspects, he is still more like Naidem than Danzo. It's not that he didn't give him a chance. It depends on when Uchiha can understand. Orochimaru has no hidden interest. He named her by name, why? Anyway, there is no Uchiha here. As for Kyochi. This guy is Tsunade's younger brother, and he's crazy to be with Uchiha. Guards. Minato reacted immediately. Uchiha's power has been cut again and again, and now the only thing he is holding on to is the guard. If the power of the guard is released. Another family came to mind. The Hyuga clan. They didn't have any extra power, and they lived well as a result. For Uchiha, the guard has long been a burden. This position is a hot potato. Whoever takes it will be isolated. Kyochi said. Orochimaru frowned, and asked with interest, Kyochi-kun, what is this saying? The guards are different from the ninja troops. Their duty is to protect the law and order of the village and maintain the order of the village. No one praises them when they do a good job, and they do things that a lot of people are dissatisfied with. Only fools take it as a treasure. Kyochi was powerless to complain. He believes that Senju Tobarama has no intention of exterminating Uchiha, but throwing Uchiha in that position must have the idea of fishing law enforcement to fish out radicals. As a result, Uchiha took the position. After so many years, there is no idea of throwing it out. Including Fugaku. After hearing this, Orochimaru thought for a while and said, I was thinking about power, but I didn't think about this aspect. Their law enforcement has the greatest impact on civilians, no wonder. He is somewhat enlightened. Uchiha's reputation among the common people is really not good, and most of the common people who go out will avoid it. Orochimaru thought of the Hokage election. Such a reputation. And how could it be Hokage? Kyochi has done a lot of research on this. Orochimaru sighed. Minato didn't speak at the side, he was thinking about Uchiha's solution. He understood and said, "You mean, Uchiha should throw out the guards?" "Of course, their family is very capable. After throwing it out, let others be the guards. Sometimes the way to show your ability is not to do better, but to let people who do poorly come up." Kyoshi said this way. Orochimaru felt it, and couldn't help laughing. Really? When he was helping Danzo, Danzo felt that his research results were slow and his work was unreliable. As a result, after he left, the research department at the root was in chaos. Minato was a genius since he was a child, and later became Jiraiya's disciple, and was quickly promoted to Jonin. The journey went smoothly without encountering too many problems. However, he was born as a commoner, so he still knows a lot of things underneath. Commoners do have complaints about Uchiha. The three of them just expressed their feelings after seeing this scene, so after a moment of silence, they didn't discuss this matter much. After a while, the group of Mist Shinobi ninjas began to retreat, but at this time, the Rock Shinobi side had already evacuated, and the Cloud Shinobi army turned around and attacked here. However, if you want to leave now, where else can you escape? Cloud Shinobi is upright. Can't beat Rock Shinobi, can't beat you Fog Ninja? These Mist Shinobi ninjas were all caught by Bao Yuan, and one of them failed to escape, while Yagura slipped away quickly with a large army, leaving no thought of saving anyone. Kyoshi and the others just watched and didn't make a move. "Master Toshiro, there seem to be ninjas lurking over there." "Don't worry, they belong to Konoha." Todai shook his head. Troy hesitated for a moment, and finally listened to Todai's words, and didn't try to detect the breath. Because the aura over there is very complicated, it seems to be released deliberately, and there is a feeling that they are waiting for them to come to the door. Since Todai said that there is no need to worry about it, he doesn't want to take risks. Toyo naturally knew who it was. Kanda Kyoshi, Namikaze Minato. Their shadow clone is probably at Cloud Shinobi Village now, and the other one. Not surprisingly, Orochimaru. Calculating the time, the shadow clone of those two should have arrived at Cloud Shinobi Village. Cloud Shinobi Village. Kyoshi and Minato's shadow clone has finally arrived. "I met other Cloud Shinobi on the road, some were friendly, and some were fierce and wanted to fight, but Kyoshi, convincing people with reason, resolved the conflict. Such as Todai. This is how Cloud Shinobi Village used to be, and I still head back." "It's spectacular," Minato gasped in surprise. Unlike Konoha, many buildings in Cloud Shinobi Village are on the mountain, surrounded by clouds and fog, which looks dangerous but beautiful and spectacular. No wonder it's called Cloud Shinobi. Kyoshi was silent for a moment, and then said, "The environment of Cloud Shinobi Village is indeed harsh, and Third Raikage has contributed a lot to being able to become so powerful in such an environment. Although you now make me very satisfied with your compliments, I will still take your life when it comes to the battlefield." A muffled voice sounded, "Follow closely. From a mountain not far away, I jumped down personally. Muscular, looks extremely strong, and the dress is not far from the corpse in their sealed scroll. Son of Third Raikage, the eye of this generation. Thank you for sending the body back. Are you done with the tour? Hand over the body. Cloud Shinobi Village is not accepting guests at the moment." Ai's face darkened. The current battle at Cloud Shinobi Village is still going on, and there are many things waiting to be dealt with. There is no time to receive the two Konohas, let alone. Not long ago, these two killed his father together with Onoki. Although the body is returned now, it is still an enemy after all, and it is impossible for him to let go of it all at once. We went to Cloud Shinobi, one is to return the body, and the other is to clear up the misunderstanding. This time the two of us were hired by Rock Shinobi, 20 million to deal with Third Raikage. Kyoshi sold Onoki directly. I was silent. This kind of thing. It's hard to tell the truth from the fake. He was thinking about it when he saw Kyoshi take out an IOU, with Onogi's name written on it in black and white. I looked down for a few seconds, then looked up at Kyoshi. Onoki wants to deal with Third Raikage, we only want to deal with you Cloud Shinobi. Kyoshi simply explained, and then, I frowned. What the other party said was simple and straightforward, and he was too embarrassed to refute, but he doesn't like to go around and around. I hope Kyoshi can be more direct and finish his purpose in one breath. Well, it seems that you are angry now, but look at the corpse. Kyoshi lifts the seal. The body of Third Raikage appeared on the scroll, charred and black, without a trace of life. I saw that his fists were hardened, his father. And these two people in front of him were also one of the participants who killed his father. With hatred in his eyes, he said slowly, "If you came today to provoke me, then you succeeded." As the corpse appeared, there were several times more Cloud Shinobi around. Although they were hiding, both Kyoshi and Minato could clearly sense their presence. This group of people surrounded the valley, and they had the intention of doing something. Pity. They are just shadow clone. So what if I killed him? Just impotent rage. If fourth Raikage only has this kind of capacity, then your father's death is really not worth it. I brought the body back just to let you understand one thing. Kyoshi held up his fingers, and the fingertips were suddenly condensed by lightning. ZZZ, familiar chakra. Similar lightning style ninjutsu. In an instant, there were more than a dozen Anbu ninjas around. They surrounded Kyoshi. Although they are all wearing masks, they can feel it. All Cloud Shinobi believe that this technique is related to third Raikage's Yichenshu, and that Kyoshi learned it in some way. But how long before and after? From the death of third Raikage to the delivery of the corpse, Cloud Shinobi has been keeping track of Kyoshi Shadow Clone's whereabouts. It is impossible for Kyoshi to contact the Yamanaka clan. Could it be? This guy knows the secret arts of the Yamanaka clan? I couldn't figure it out either. He stared at Kyoshi with a bit of anger in his tone. Impossible. How can you master a single hand? Samahata is in my hands. As long as you use Samahata to take away the chakra of the lightning-style armor, and instantly replenish the sealing technique to disrupt his chakra, your father will not be able to help you complete the retreat. Kyoshi said lightly, I will demonstrate this technique to you, just to tell you that I have seen through your father's technique a long time ago, and it is not that difficult to kill him at all. I was very angry, but couldn't find a reason to refute. He knows better than the rest of the Cloud Shinobi. After careful identification, he understands that Kyoshi's technique is not consistent, but he has to admit that the principles of the two are quite similar. That alone proves nothing. The corpse is the key. Captain Anbu of Cloud Shinobi Village arrived in no time. He looked it over, then stood up slowly, without speaking for a few seconds. How about it? Master Raikage, the wound on Lord Third Generation's body is not deep, but judging from the traces, part of what he said is true. Captain Anbu said. The corpse was scorched black by the black thunder of the third Raikage, so there is not much content to be seen at all, but the few knife wounds are very eye-catching. If the other party really has Samahata, that can really be done. I knew that Kyoshi did have Samahata. So, he didn't lie. Could he really kill his father alone? Just as he was thinking, he saw Minato making a seal beside him. I doesn't know much about the sealing technique, but Captain Anbu does. He reminded in a low voice, this is Konoha's sealing technique, which can interfere with chakra. Well, I believe you do have the ability to kill my father, but I don't understand. Do you expect me to thank you from the bottom of my heart? Of course not. I just hope that you don't find the wrong target for revenge, but if you really want to kill me, you can always accompany me on the battlefield. But please think carefully, not every time there will be a Raikage to kill the army. Kyoshi showed no sign of weakness. He admires third Raikage, and also likes fourth Raikage's decisiveness and directness, but facing Cloud Shinobi Village, if you don't show your fists, they will only think you can be bullied. For example, the kidnapping of Kushina, and later Hinata. I's face was livid, and he was about to get angry on the spot, but he couldn't help but think of what his father said before. Can't be impatient. Not urgent. He took a deep breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and said, don't worry, our Cloud Shinobi Village is one, and the other is two. I know who to blame for this grudge. Very good, I hope to have the opportunity to cooperate in the future. Oh, there will never be such a chance. I responded lukewarmly, but at this moment, Captain Anbu whispered something in his ear, and I's face turned red immediately, and he glared at Captain Anbu angrily. But it's been a long time. The corner of his mouth twitched, showing a very twisted smile. I heard that your medical ninjutsu is very good. Can you please help us Cloud Shinobi Village? At first, I found it difficult to punch himself in the face. But after he uttered the first sentence, he realized that it was actually not that difficult. Compared with his own face, the lives of his subordinates were obviously more important. Face what? Unimportant. Not only did he change his tone, he even bowed to Kyoshi and Minato, as if he forgot that Kyoshi and Minato participated in beating his father before. It's not forbearance, it's just one size fits all, and as Kyoshi said, the siege of Third Raikage is obviously mostly responsible for Onogi, and Kyoshi and Minato are just pushing the boat along the way. I'm just shadow clone. Kyoshi was taken aback. He was just saying something polite, but he didn't expect Cloud Shinobi Village to really have a cooperation intention. But he remembered. In the anime, when Tsunade and Shizune walked near the Land of Thunder, I came to invite him. Although it's not the same thing, this man's subordinates are indeed able to bend down. Minato was silent. To be honest, I thought it would be good not to be beaten, but I never thought that instead of being beaten, they cooperated with Cloud Shinobi Village. This result. All he could say was that he was shocked. Can't the main body come? If you are worried about what I will do, I can exchange it as a hostage. Master Rakeage. If you have no objection, then follow this charter, or you can put forward other conditions. Remuneration is absolutely indispensable. I said decisively. Kyochi thought for a moment, then said, healing is not a problem. You don't need to come here. As for the conditions, I hope that the Land of Thunder can build a road to ensure the safety of the merchants in the Land of Fire and Konoha. Ah? On this condition? I was surprised. To be frank, he doesn't quite understand. Because whether it is clearing out bandits or repairing roads, it is something that should be done within the Kingdom of Thunder. Even if Konoha does not ask, he will still do it. As for business contacts, the merchants from the Land of Fire go to the Land of Tang more often, and the general goods are transferred from the Land of Tang to the Land of Thunder. The merchants from the Land of Fire don't even bother to come to the Land of Thunder. What's the point? He expressed that he didn't understand. After thinking about it, the straightforward Rakeage was too embarrassed to take advantage of it, and asked puzzledly, can I ask why? You need to know the conditions. Captain Anbu covered his face and was speechless for a while. People have set the conditions so low. Why are you asking why? If you go back on your word, you will lose a lot. But I had already asked, so he couldn't stop it. Well, I can only say that I don't want to make a difference to the middleman and charge for other issues. Kyochi smiled. The environment in the Kingdom of Thunder is not good, otherwise Cloud Shinobi Village would not have to be built on the mountain. It's not that they don't want to build on the plains, but the conditions don't allow it. Certainly. As a result, the ninjas in Cloud Shinobi Village climbed the mountain to exercise every day, and their physical fitness naturally improved. The folk customs are fierce, and their physical skills are generally stronger than those of other countries. But their specialty products are very scarce in the Land of Fire. One is wine. There are many hot springs in the Land of Thunder, and there are many mountains. The geographical environment and water quality are different from those in foreign countries. The wine brewed in their country is better than the Land of Fire. In the Land of Fire, it is a drink for nobles. Followed by beef. Alpine beef, the price is much higher than other places. The key is money can't necessarily buy it. These are only things that can be bought from the Land of Thunder. The most important thing is to sell their own products to the Land of Thunder. This is related to Kyochi's follow-up plan. Since you insist on this, then fine. I hesitated for a moment. Finally, he nodded. Although I don't understand what Kyochi's idea is, but no matter how I think about it, it seems that agreeing to this condition will not do any harm to the Land of Thunder. I don't know medical ninjutsu. In order to avoid misunderstandings, I'll go back and explain what happened here, so as not to worry over there. Sure. Thank you both for coming here. I bowed slightly. Minato seals and cancels Shadow Clone by himself. On the border of Thunder Country, Kyochi, Minato, and Orochimaru have finished watching Mist Shinobi's drama, and headed along the coast to Yuno Country. It's halfway there. Minato was taken aback, and then a strange look appeared on his face. Shadow Clone feedback. Orochimaru sensed the fluctuation of Chakra's breath, and guessed that it was probably the feedback from Shadow Clone. Why only one? Well, the corpse was sent back. Cloud Shinobi made it clear that the third Raikage's hatred will not involve us Konoha, and he also asked Kyochi to help treat the wounded. Minato explained the situation slowly. Both Kyochi and Orochimaru listened carefully. After all, he hasn't responded to Shadow Clone yet, so he doesn't know what happened to the clone. Is there any meaning to this condition? Orochimaru frowned. Even though he is smart, he is not omnipotent after all, so he also doesn't understand Kyochi's conditions, and feels that Kyochi is a bit wasted. But Kyochi quickly understood. After all, it's his own idea, so can't he guess it? Kyochi, what do you think? Minato asked directly. He knew that Kyochi must have his own special reasons, otherwise he would not have offered such a bizarre condition. It's related to a technique that I plan to study when I go back. If I succeed in that technique, our Konoha will no longer be short of medicinal materials, or even food and vegetables. Do you want to study wood style? Orochimaru's heart skipped a beat. Medicinal materials, food, vegetables, it's all vegetation. He immediately thought of his wood style research materials. Wood style is fine, but I feel that, to be precise, it should be considered grass escape. It doesn't ask for power, as long as it can promote the growth of vegetation, the threshold for low power will naturally be lowered. Kyochi said. What he wants to study is Fengji Mengwang's green technique. Orochimaru was thoughtful. Wood style chakra does have a vegetative effect. If it succeeds, the planting of food, vegetables, and medicinal materials can be quickly spawned, so what Kyochi thinks is to sell all the crops spawned by ninjutsu to foreign countries. He vaguely felt that there was a lot of deep meaning in it, but after all, Orochimaru didn't have a deep understanding of economics, and he still couldn't figure it out after thinking hard. Orochimaru frowned and asked, "According to what you said, medicinal materials are produced and then sold to the Land of Thunder, but the Land of Thunder doesn't seem to be losing money, right? Doing one thing doesn't necessarily mean that the other party will lose money. We use ninjutsu to create value, which not only makes money, but also solves the problem of some people at home and abroad who can't get enough to eat. Besides." When Kyoshi said this, he poked his finger, and the chakra perception technique detected the surroundings. After confirming the safety, he said, "The Land of Thunder is full of high mountains, and some valleys are also intersected by lightning. There are not many places where we can grow food. The food we produce may be large and cheap. If the trade lasts for a long time, there are still human races among them. Food?" After hearing this, Orochimaru finally caught the light in his mind. Food. During the war, although ninjas ate bingliangwen to satisfy their hunger, in the final analysis, bingliangwen was made from medicinal materials and grain, and the price was high because of the preciousness of food. If you master this ninjutsu, the grain trade of the Kingdom of Thunder can really be won easily. But it may not be a good thing to feed these bandit-like cloud shinobi ninjas. He thought for a moment and asked, "Kyoshi-kun, there should be other things, right? Of course, the cattle in the Kingdom of Clouds are very famous. After we open up business routes, we will definitely buy their cattle and beef, so naturally more cattle will be raised. If there are more cattle, maybe someone will specialize in it. The grass that the bulls eat." Kyoshi expressed his simple thoughts. It's not something profound, it's all leftovers from previous generations, but in the ninja world, this stuff is really novel, at least Orochimaru didn't think of it. He licked his lips, nodded and said, "It's clear, it's completely clear. This is a loop. Unless Cloud Shinobi Village understands it immediately, it will only slowly fall into the trap. Ruthless. This thing. Harder than a real knife. It's not a war, but it's better than a war. Does Cloud Shinobi Village dare to mess around with the food lifeline? The premise of this method is that we can beat Cloud Shinobi Village, otherwise they just need to launch a war to grab it, so in the end, our fists still have to be hard enough." That's true, but if Konoha can't beat Cloud Shinobi Village one day in that situation, it can only mean that the interior has long been decayed to the bone. Orochimaru sneered at this point, "Such leaves. If you lose, you lose. What does it have to do with him?" Minato wanted to refute, but swallowed the words again. He has nothing to say. Really? With such a big advantage, Cloud Shinobi can overturn it in the end, so why keep Konoha? The will of fire is well said. Where the leaves of the trees dance, the fire will never stop. Similarly, when the decayed trees fall, they will become nutrients for new saplings, making the leaves strong again. Kyoshi had a smile on his face. Minato and Orochimaru were stunned for a moment. Can you still interpret it like this? If you think about it carefully, you can't find anything wrong with it. The reincarnation of the old in the new is really the concept of the will of fire. I'm convinced. Kyoshi, you can always say something that I can't refute. It's the same in Cloud Shinobi Village. I wanted to put down the corpse and leave, but you just said Cloud Shinobi, I believe it all. Minato couldn't help but sigh with emotion. This is the Zoidan technique. If you want to be the protagonist, you must learn it. Kyoshi made a joke. It's a pity that Minato must not understand, because his son doesn't even have a shadow at the moment. Zoidan? Ha ha ha, very apt. Minato smiled. Although I don't know why the protagonist must learn Zoidan, but this description is really interesting. Orochimaru mused aside. He was still thinking about Kyoshi's food war problem. A new way of thinking. Before that, no one will use this method to complete a war against an enemy country, and it is a soft knife that kills silently. If it works, maybe there will be a lot less wars. Orochimaru has no high pursuit of peace, but if there is hope to achieve such a world, he doesn't mind a little research and pursuit in the pursuit of immortality. He couldn't help but want to sit down with Kyoshi right away. But this is the border of the Land of Thunder. At present, Rock Shinobi and Mist Ninja have all evacuated one after another, and Cloud Shinobi will soon rearrange their defenses. It is not a problem for them to be discovered, but it will affect the thinking and is not conducive to academic communication. Orochimaru licked his lips. He couldn't help himself. He really wanted to go to Cloud Shinobi Village to help Kyoshi finish his work. But Eight Tails has a very good relationship with Jinchuriki. If he could tell who released him from his chakra breath, the relationship between Konoha and Cloud Shinobi Village would change again. Thinking of this, he wanted to ask what happened to Jinchuriki. But right now Kyoshi probably hasn't seen Eight Tails Jinchuriki either. Kyoshi-kun, are you waiting here? My shadow clone can last for a long time, don't worry too much, go back first. After being out for so long, Jiraiya might be in a hurry if he doesn't go back. The Cloud Shinobi defense line was rebuilt one after another, and the area around the edge of the Land of Thunder was taken over by Cloud Shinobi ninjas again. Kyochi walked back not far, and saw some Konoha Shinobi warriors cleaning the battlefield. There are casualties in war. But this time Konoha was just chasing, and most of the casualties were the teams trying to block. After the blocking failed, Orochimaru and Jiraiya resolutely gave up, and the casualties were not further expanded. Therefore, in this battle alone, Konoha's death toll was far less than that of Cloud Shinobi. Cloud Shinobi was the real casualty. Cloud Shinobi lost a lot this time, and with the death of Third Raikage, it should be impossible to start another war in the short term. Minato sighed. After the war, a brief peace can be ushered in. But once the strength is restored and the national strength is strong, countries will start to have ideas again. If they want to truly achieve peace, it cannot be resolved by 1 or 2 wars. However, in every war, a large number of people die. As the inheritor of Jiraiya's pacifism, he witnessed this scene with complicated emotions in his heart. Kyochi didn't speak. Peace, easier said than done. In a place as big as the ninja world, there is a lot of bullshit. Unify the ninja world. In the short term there is Uchiha Madara watching, and in the long term there is Otsutsuki Kagaya and her clan. The whole ninja world is tied together, and they are not enough to fight. Kyochi sighed. Defeating Third Raikage did not seem to be something to be happy about. He glanced at the system. Logically speaking, I just said a lot, so I will give some feedback. Strange. We're at the camp ahead. Minato sensed for a moment, Master Hokage, they seem to have arrived. Kyochi-kun, I suggest you tell me about that. Orochimaru smiled. Your technique will definitely gain the support of the village. At that time, the village will fund and help, and the research will be much faster than one person. Well. Indeed, besides, I still have some ideas, but it won't be too late to bring them up when I go back. After Kyochi finished speaking, he didn't intend to continue. Orochimaru was rather curious. Still have ideas? What do you think? He waited sideways, but the guy didn't seem to intend to continue talking at all. Orochimaru stared for a few seconds, speechless. In the middle of the story, before changing, you kid will be beaten. It's not a good temper now. Kyochi can even wrestle with Third Raikage head on now. In terms of combat power. He doesn't feel like an opponent. The camp has expanded a lot, because many ninjas from the west went to the east to support, but when they got here, they found that the war was over, and their only task was to clean up the battlefield. Many ninjas are very depressed. But, seeing Kyochi and the others come back, everyone saluted immediately, completely forgetting the depression at the end. Winning is more important than anything else. The 3 of them came straight to Third Generation. Not long after Sarutobi Hiruzen arrived, the 2 of them sighed in the camp. Obviously, the results on the battlefield are not satisfactory. Third Raikage used some kind of teleportation technique to reach the front line. Otherwise, we might be able to surround them and catch 1 or 2 big forced surrenders after we have completely completed the arrangement of traps and encirclement circles. It's a pity. There is no way around this. If you choose to block, the casualties of the troops will be doubled. Third Generation and Jiraiya were discussing quietly inside. Noticing the approaching person, he stopped and turned his head to look outside. Seeing the 3 of them, Third Generation and Jiraiya's eyes lit up. They got up and walked over quickly and asked, "How is it?" Third Raikage died, and Kyochi and I sent the body to Cloud Shinobi village, so there was a delay. Minato briefly told the story of sending the corpse. Orochimaru took a step back calmly. Well done, well done. Kyochi, well done. Your few words have saved Konoha from many deaths. After the opening of trade, it will be of great benefit to our country of fire. Third Generation and Jiraiya nodded again and again. The joy on their faces was uncontrollable. Konoha is not afraid of war, but the pot that can be thrown out must be thrown out, especially. This pot is really Onoki. I just told the truth. By the way, the IOUs are all real. When I asked Inomu for money later, the village helped me to ask for it. In the end, I paid back the price, 20 million, and don't pay back anything less. Kyochi took out the IOU. Third Generation took it and nodded. Then, he thought of Kyochi's performance on the battlefield, and he might suffer a lot of blood when he returns to the village. Thinking of this, he couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth. Fortunately, I won. Onoki can get a lot back. Sarutobi Hiruzen was thinking about it, when Kyochi continued, Master Hokage, I want to start wood-style research when I go back. No. Third Generation's face changed upon hearing it. Orochimaru chuckled softly behind him, no surprise. After the war, the familiar old man returned, unchanged at all. Can't finish listening? He didn't speak. Kyochi's mouth escape is so powerful that he doesn't need to be involved at all. Really. The next moment, Kyochi explained the whole story. To be precise, what I want to study is not the wood style of Mr. Hashirama, but the evasion techniques used to produce crops and medicinal materials. Give birth to crops and medicinal materials? Third generation and Jiraiya looked at each other after hearing this, and obviously quickly understood what Kyochi meant. This technique. While the difficulty is not low, it is definitely not as difficult as the real wood style. But what's the point? They didn't get it, and Kyochi continued to explain his strategy to them. Sell quick cooked food, seize and change the market of the Land of Thunder, and control the Land of Thunder economically. Third generation was dumbfounded. He understood at first. Using food to control the market and war together, naturally they have the final say, but after hearing the latter, they found that they were still thinking superficially. The atmosphere was silent for a moment. No one speaks first, and Kyochi waits for their feedback, and no one speaks. At last, Orochimaru said, "Teacher, that's the way it is. I thought about it and think it's feasible. Besides, our village has done research on wood style in the early years. With past data, it's not difficult to realize non-combat wood style." Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at him. Past data? Ah. I'm afraid it is the latest data. He didn't want to expose it, but he was afraid that Orochimaru would take this opportunity to continue his research, so he pondered again and again. If this technique can really achieve ripening and accelerate growth, it is indeed worth studying, but I don't want that kind of experiment to happen again. What kind of experiment is needed to study this kind of technique? Kyochi shakes his head. With the theoretical basis of ice escape and the detailed experimental data of Orochimaru, there is no need for any research. Certainly. The most important is, Kyochi knew whom to turn to. Descendants of Senju, for example, wind priests. Although Onoki and even 3rd Kazekage rely on learning to master the escapism of blood successor limit level or above, there is no doubt that the descendants of blood succession limit boundary are more difficult to master through learning than normal ninjas. After researching and practicing by yourself, you can try to teach people with Senju blood in the village. No matter how weak the wood style is, it's also the limit of blood succession. It's not that easy. You have to be prepared for 10, 20 or even longer, and don't rush forward. Third generation shook his head and began to chatter. Hey, teacher, you don't know yet. This kid has been researching wood style secretly. Although wood style has not been completed, he merged into ice escape by mistake. Jiraiya knew that third generation had doubts. Kyochi noticed that third generation looked surprised, paused, and glanced at Jiraiya and the others. Good guy. He thought that everyone had mentioned it to third generation, but he didn't expect that it was all good brothers who helped him hide it. They didn't even mention Moonlight. Sure. So, you all know? I don't know? Sarutobi Hiruzen had mixed feelings. The corners of Orochimaru's mouth raised slightly, and he said, I only found out after watching the match today. Me too. Minato nodded, he was still surprised at the time. I thought Jiraiya would mention it, but I was very busy at the time, so I didn't say it. Kyochi spoke first. Well, Kyochi used it when he caught Laozi before, but I thought he would tell you, so I didn't mention it, don't blame me. Jiraiya wants to cry but has no tears. What the hell, it's obviously not my business. How did it end up like he did something wrong? That's not the point, Mr. Hokage, the point is that we have a solid foundation. I think it shouldn't be difficult to research the wood style that gives birth to grass and trees. It seems that your preparations are very perfect. Third generation sighed. Kyochi is too similar to Orochimaru. On the surface, he looks like nothing, but he is secretly interested in many things. The previous 7-day calling, and now the ice escape. Bring it up directly, and all of them will be banned. If it takes more than 10 years to research it, I wouldn't ask Raikage for that condition. Although Shadow Clone has not returned yet, there is no doubt that I know myself best, and Kyochi has the most right to speak about the idea of clone. The benefit that can only be recovered in 10 years, is it not a blood loss? Kyochi isn't that stupid. Third generation pondered for a moment, then said, since that's the case, you can rest assured that you can study it. If you need the cooperation of the village, you can just say that there is no problem in terms of funds or manpower. Actually, I already have some ideas. I will go back and think about it later. It will be fine. The main problem is the follow-up business problem. If my plan is followed, Konoha should set up a caravan belonging to our own village. Konoha's income basically comes from missions and state funding. How can this work? Doing business to make money can form a virtuous circle. Third generation hesitated to speak. It's a good idea to set up your own caravan, but the problem is the attitude of the daimyo. Kyochi, your idea is good, but it may be difficult for the daimyo to pass. Orochimaru obviously thought of that too. The relationship between Konoha and the Fire Nation is already tense. If you set up your own caravan to make money, the income you get can greatly enhance Konoha's strength. The issue is, Daimyo, will they agree? Sarutobi Hiruzen sat down, frowning, and scratched the map with his fingers. It's not impossible. That's right, we can divide the interests of the caravan into several shares, one for the caravan, one for Konoha, and the other for the Fire Nation. The property income will be jointly supervised by the three parties. Kyochi said. Third generation was taken aback, then nodded without hesitation and said, yes, what Kyochi said is similar to what I said. The direction is about the same. The same as to distribute the proceeds to the daimyo, but he didn't think too much about it, he just wanted to share the benefits, and the 3 shares in the 3-party supervision of the property have not been considered yet. Certainly. It's not that third generation couldn't think of it, given him some time, he can also perfect the plan. But, Kyochi continued, the income from the caravan belongs to Konoha, part of it goes to the village, and the other part can be used to support civilian ninjas, improve food, etc. But what about you? Minato couldn't help worrying for Kyochi. Caravan, Konoha, Fire Country. But as an advocate, Kyochi didn't give himself a plan, which is too unfair. Minato, don't worry about that, didn't you mention the caravan share? Jiraiya sighed. This apprentice. A little blunt. This kid will treat himself badly. Since he opened his mouth until now, everything has been covered, obviously after careful consideration. Every link has been considered very clearly, it is impossible to ignore his own part. Kyochi's income, apparently included in the caravan. In other words, this kid wants to control the caravan. Not surprising. The next generation of Hokage is Tsunade, and the proposer is Kyochi himself, who is in charge of him. Third generation thinks more. Kyochi's division of interests takes into account many aspects, one of which is civilians. Since first Hokage, the Senju family has always considered the interests of the entire Konoha and the common people, and for this reason they open up intermarriage, allowing the Senju family to integrate into thousands of families in Konoha. It can be said, the strength of Konoha is absolutely inseparable from the Senju clan. And Kyochi. This kid is only in his teens, but his thinking is very similar to that of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama back then. They all stand on the overall situation rather than one person or one clan. Give benefits to civilians and strengthen the basic strength. Only in this way can Konoha as a whole be strong. Kyochi really understands the will of first Hokage, compared to many people's understanding of the will of fire is still superficial, including himself. Sarutobi Hiruzen reflected on himself, feeling very ashamed, and didn't know what to say for a while. But he quickly reacted and said, I will communicate with the daimyo about the caravan. It should not be a big problem. Kyochi, are you tired all the way? Go and rest first. If there is anything, it will not be too late to talk about it after the rest. For some reason, he felt like Kyochi hadn't finished. But these few things just now made it difficult for him to digest, and if he asked this kid to continue, he was afraid that he would not be able to keep up with the rhythm. Alright, Master Hokage, let's go to rest first, please call us if necessary. Kyochi looked out. The old man was a little restless. Never mind. Regarding the matter of the research institute, it would not be too late to go back to Konoha for a meeting. Anyway, the research institute must be funded by the village, and the 3 or 4 people here could not make a final decision on the case. Seeing the opportunity, Jiraiya decided to sneak along with him. Third generation, who was in the thinking stage, didn't pay attention at all. When he realized it, he was the only one left in the tent. Stepping out of the tent, Orochimaru walked alongside Jiraiya and exhaled softly. Why are you relieved? I am relieved, you don't know. I just got caught nagging for an hour. Thank you Kyochi, otherwise I would still be in here now. Hey, I just thought that I was once praised as a genius, but just now, I was worried that Kyochi-kun would throw something I didn't expect again. Orochimaru laughed to himself. Jiraiya rolled her eyes and was too lazy to speak. Worry? There is nothing to worry about. From the moment he saw Kyochi's ice escape, he knew that that kid was not an ordinary person, and he couldn't use normal people's thinking to see it at all. So, as long as you don't compare, you won't feel lost. You don't understand. Although I only care about ninjutsu, I can't keep up with the rhythm of everything. I always have the idea that I am stupid. Orochimaru smiled. I know he must have something else to say. But it's okay, I can probably guess. Oh? Jiraiya became curious. What else can you guess? So what? He was waiting for the next sentence, only to find that Orochimaru had gone without a sound. Jiraiya froze for a moment, then frowned. What the hell are you? Talking half pretending to be cool? Who did you learn from? Is there any lack of virtue? After leaving the camp, Minato was going to find his precious apprentice, and Kyoshi was too lazy to follow. The war is over. Those bastards will not be in any danger at all. They are simply worrying. They might as well lie down and have a good rest if they have the time. It just so happens that during this period of time, I'm either fighting a war or taking a boat, so I can catch up on a good night's sleep now. But before going to bed, he heard a familiar beep. Feedback is finally here. Complete the brief teaching of economic warfare. Evaluation. Excellent. Reward. Summoning Rashomon. Okay. The upper limit of Rashomon is 5 layers of Rashomon, and the defense effect is quite strong. And an idea came to Kyoshi's mind. The Goliath technique can create rock giants. If they are big enough, they might be able to lift up Rashomon and use them as shields, and they can be integrated into Ice Escape, Wood Style, or even Hashirama cells. Maybe it can be solidified with the sealing technique, and it can be released and used from the sealing scroll when it is needed. Or again, what about using the 4-elephant seal to blend into the tailed beast chakra? He jumped in his heart to try. But the next moment, another reminder came. Kyoshi glanced over and saw another reward appeared underneath. Complete the extended teaching of Wood Style practical application. Evaluation. Excellent. Reward. 5 elements seal, Hashirama cell analysis. Kyoshi didn't expect much at first, but he didn't expect an excellent evaluation. He was stunned for a long time, and then fell into deep thought. Economic warfare is only superior. Grass Escape has excellent reviews. He thought about it. The application of Grass Escape is very detailed, and it is a very complete set of applications, which may include food warfare, while economic warfare is only a simple concept, not deep enough. Maybe it has something to do with it. He smoothly received all 3 rewards. Rashomon will not mention it. The 5-element seal is also a good thing. Although the seal effect is not as good as the 4-element seal, it is much stronger than the seal of evil. It has fewer seals, takes effect quickly, and has outstanding effects in actual combat. Certainly. I really want to learn this stuff, and it is not difficult to ask 3rd generation to learn it. The emphasis is on the ladder. Kyoshi immediately looked at the ladder. Hashirama cell analysis. In JIU, the value should not be low, right? After he received it, he checked it carefully. Afterwards, Kyoshi fell into deep thought. This thing. Very detailed. It was far more detailed than he imagined. If he hadn't mastered the Muji cure, he could even deduce the Muji cure from this information. Other information is more complete. Put it bluntly. With this information, if Kyoshi masters Wood Style, maybe he can reversely get the real Wood Style. So, what's the price? Life. The reason why Senju Hashirama's cells are powerful is because each of his cells contains extremely strong vitality, and the Wood Style manufactured also contains vitality. But making such cells rich in tyrannical vitality has great risks in itself. Highly fertile and erosive, isn't that what cancer cells do? Senju Hashirama can perfectly control it because he is born with a sage body, has Ashura chakra, has strong vitality, and has as much chakra as 9 tails. These conditions are outrageous. However, he thought that with this information, he could try to squeeze the wool of Hashirama cells, not to absorb the cells, but to absorb the Wood Style chakra and vitality in the cells. Extremely difficult, but worth a try. If it succeeds, the Wood Style chakra and vitality alone will be extremely valuable, not to mention further physical transformation, which is much safer than simply transplanting cells. Cloud Shinobi Village Hospital. Kyoshi treated more than a dozen Jonins who were almost dead, and he felt like he had made a loss-making business. When he walked out of the operating room, he looked at Ai standing aside and sighed helplessly. This guy is really dedicated to his subordinates. Although everyone is an enemy, he still admires him from the bottom of his heart. In particular, Ai also has a more ferocious appearance than Danzo. Seeing Kyoshi come out, he hurriedly asked, "How is it?" "I survived, and your own medical ninjas can handle it later. Is there anything else? I'll leave first." Yes. I hastily grabbed Shadow Clone's hand. "Walk. How can I go at this time?" Just now he has been thinking about the gap between Cloud Shinobi and Konoha. He has never met Kyoshi, he doesn't know Konoha's medical level, and thinks that his own medical ninja is also quite strong, and it seems that he can't lose too much with Konoha. But after seeing Kyoshi's medical level, he realized that he was sitting on the sidelines. Almost. Not even close. Kanda Kyoshi is already hanging like this. How terrible is the medical ninjutsu of that Tsunade princess? Just thinking about it, he understood why his father was so strong, but he still waited for so many years until Konoha and Sand Shinobi started the war, and then contacted Iwagakure and Kirigakure before he dared to make a move. Father's strategy was fine. It's a pity that I met 2 pig teammates. One was defeated early. He still doesn't know what happened to Mist Shinobi. He only knows that Kirigakure seems to have been in contact with Konoha very early. As a result, they were also the first in the Bund, and Cloud Shinobi village started fighting with Iwagakure, but Kirigakure had already withdrawn. I was curious. But he knew that if he asked the other party, he would not open his mouth, or propose some conditional deals. For a little curiosity, he can't bear to pay anything. So, instead of asking, I changed his words and said, Kyoshi Jonin, I wonder if you can give us some advice on the medical ninjas at Cloud Shinobi village. Ha ha. Kyoshi smiled without saying a word. I waited for a few seconds, but didn't see the following, coughed lightly and said, of course, I won't let you point out for nothing. The reward is easy to talk about, you just have to bring it up. Master Rakage, the scenery of Cloud Shinobi village is beautiful. I didn't know where to go. Inexplicable. Why is the village so beautiful? You guys at Cloud Shinobi have a very good imagination. No wonder you can build such a beautiful and spectacular village. To be honest, I was shocked when I saw it for the first time. That Igang wanted to be proud and boasted about the history of Cloud Shinobi village, but his expression froze as soon as he said it. He understood. What the hell? Does it mean that he thinks too beautifully? Ai's face darkened, but he also knew that medical ninjutsu was related to the village's secrets, and Kyoshi couldn't easily teach them anyway. He took a slight breath. Then, he pointed in the direction and said, Kyoshi Jonin, the last patient, after reading this, our transaction is over. Alright. Shadow Clone was slightly relieved. He was really worried that Rakage had a thick skin and asked him to save all intractable diseases. Isn't that difficult for the strong? You know, even Tsunade is not omnipotent, let alone yourself. Luckily, Rakage is still quite aggressive, and those who are basically hopeless only ask at the beginning, and never mention it later. I just don't know what happened to the last one. But Kyoshi is not without gains. In addition to the trading part, in the process of treating the Cloud Shinobi Jonins, he probed a lot of physical data. Although most of them are useless, there is a lot of data, and the relationship between body strength and lightning-style armor can be roughly calculated. It is a pity that I was not seriously injured, otherwise this data would be more intuitive. He pondered in his heart, and at the same time continued to move forward, following Ai into the deep ward. Here. Filled with a strong tail beast breath. 8 Tails Jin Chiriki. Kyoshi felt strange, wondering why I brought him here. Killer Bee didn't look hurt at all before, but it looked like a perfect collaboration with 8 Tails. He looked at I puzzled. Originally this was related to the Jinchuriki in my village, so I didn't want to find outsiders, but the situation just now seems to have deteriorated. The tail beast chakra keeps leaking out, and ordinary medical ninjas can't get in at all. I sighed. If it is not really impossible, who is willing to reveal the secrets of the tailed beast Jinchuriki to other villages, but as far as their village's sealing technique and medical technology? I really don't understand what happened to Bai now. Killer Bee didn't say anything either, because he came back from a runaway, and passed out when he returned to Cloud Shinobi, so I was not so much worried about his injuries as he was worried that Killer Bee would run away. Kyoshi hesitated, for a moment, and said, his body couldn't be better, so it should have nothing to do with his body. Maybe it has something to do with the state of the tailed beast. We think so too, but right now we just don't know what's going on. Let's see if he's in danger now. Anyone else, he probably wouldn't have looked for Kyoshi. But Killer Bee is different. Killer Bee is a brother, and on the battlefield, he and many Cloud Shinobi's lives were saved by Killer Bee, he can't let him go. Kyoshi can roughly guess in his heart, but Cloud Shinobi is in a hurry to go to the doctor right now, so he happened to observe it. Before approaching, he said, if I am shocked to death by the power of the tailed beast later, the transaction will be considered over, right? Of course. I nodded. Kyoshi walked into the room and probed with chakra senses. Next moment. From Killer Bee, an octopus tail emerges, looking warily at Kyoshi. It seems Killer Bee is coming at a very important time. Is Gyuki merging with him? Kyoshi narrowed his eyes, and then approached slowly. Gyuki was about to make a move, when he saw the figure in front of him swish into nothingness. Illusion. Wrong. It's too fast. It immediately grew 2 tails, trying to block the opponent, but in the next second, the opponent's hand pressed directly on his tail, and when his fingers pressed, the tails retracted again. Seal of sealing evil. Certainly. It only interferes with the chakra in the tail part, and will not affect the core area of Killer Bee. Gyuki is in a hurry. But without hurting Killer Bee, it can't knock Kyoshi back at all. The tail just now is the last power that can be used, and now I can't speak. Kyoshi didn't roll his eyes, Sharingan, and could only rely on perception and ninjutsu to detect the direction of the opponent's chakra. After a while, Killer Bee suddenly opened his eyes. Brother, idiot, bastard. I still. Killer Bee opened his eyes and jumped up, speaking in a strange rhythm, but before he could finish speaking, he was already punched in the head. I stood in front of him very annoyed, and said angrily, "Are you okay? Why are you in a coma when you're okay? It's been almost a day. How dare you call me an idiot, an asshole?" Kyochi smiled, then closed his hands and said, "Killer Bee is fine. It may seem like a good thing, because the seal in his body has been completely disintegrated, but in fact Yuki didn't hurt him." Yes? I felt relieved after hearing this. Killer Bee looked at Kyochi and quickly said, "Of course it's okay, stupid." Boom. I punched again, causing Killer Bee to cover his head and gasp. Kyochi smiled and said softly, "To tell you the truth, I used to be a ninja school teacher, and I am very experienced in dealing with children. Some children are disobedient, and most of them deserve to be beaten." Killer Bee looked up, glaring at Kyochi. "But, like this, you can consider confinement, or punish him to run a few hundred laps, and he will definitely be gone. Kyochi has no fear at all, he is just a shadow clone. Besides, he finished his treatment, and was about to leave. I don't mind him, glaring, a little more. Anyway, eyes can't kill people. Is this how you Konoha manage your children?" I raised her eyebrows in surprise. "Yeah, that's right. This also, all right." Kyochi has nothing to say. He looked at Killer Bee, then at I, and said, "If it's okay, I'll be leaving, you know. Shadow clone is too tired, it may cause the main body to die suddenly." "Okay. Thank you Kyochi Jonin. Next time I have a chance, I can come to Cloud Shinobi Village again." I felt a little sad. It's not that he has an affair with Kyochi, but there are still many wounded in the hospital. If Kyochi can treat him again, those wounded will recover faster. Only. The other party saved a lot of serious Jonin that Cloud Shinobi couldn't solve, and what Cloud Shinobi had to pay was only such a small price. He was really embarrassed to speak again. Killer Bee looked strange. After Kyochi's shadow clone was lifted, he said, "Brother, isn't he the murderer of Master Raikage? You have such a good attitude? Strange, stupid. Idiot, the idiot is you." I grabbed his head with his hands, lifted it up and said, "His medical ninjutsu is very strong, and he saved a lot of Jonin for us, and the main ones who deal with us are Onogi, they are just pushing the boat along." "Got it. It hurts." Killer Bee screamed in pain. I Shinshinmenching. Konoha must also hope that Cloud Shinobi Village will be unlucky, that Third Raikage is still damaged by Cloud Shinobi's large army, and the difference is not too big for Konoha. It is definitely not Konoha who wants Third Raikage dead, but Iwagakure. Because Rock Shinobi is most afraid of Third Raikage. He put down Killer Bee, and said seriously, "We are fighting Konoha, we can win and lose, it's normal for you to come and go, but Onoki. I will take revenge sooner or later." Only. When I thinks of Kyochi's conditions, he always has a feeling that something is not right. That kid doesn't look like a good person, how could he propose such a simple condition? Weird thing. Go back and discuss with the daimyo and the nobles of the Land of Thunder. He doesn't understand business matters, and nobles are more professional. Then he asked what happened to Killer Bee. Killer Bee told I about his situation, and I regretted it after hearing it. Just now Killer Bee was studying with a tailed beast? What the hell? If I had known, I would not have let Kyochi come over. Wrong. Better than you. If this is the case, you should wake up and tell me earlier. If I find out, I will take the risk of letting him come over. What? Killer Bee was bewildered and received another punch. But this kind of scene made Killer Bee breathe a sigh of relief. He was a little worried that I would imprison him because of the tailed beast. Seeing it now is overthinking. The eldest brother is still the same eldest brother, nothing has changed in the slightest. Headache. Kyochi woke up, it was already the next morning. There is only one feeling. Skull hurts. A dozen critically ill patients. Each is a level of injury requiring surgery. Hell. I is not polite at all, but he can use his strength after paying the price? Old capital. He complained from the bottom of his heart, but his hands moved quickly, and he quickly took out a scroll and began to record the data. This is body data collected by Kyochi, he found. Cloud Shinobi's physical fitness is generally relatively strong. Like Rock Shinobi, his emphasis is obvious and outrageous. Compare. Although Konoha is named after fire, in fact, fire style has not been developed to ultimate like them, and it is more of a simple use of ninjutsu. He thought about it, but it was normal. Konoha has too many choices, and fire is not the fire of fire style, but the will of fire. Certainly. There isn't any generation of Hokage famous for fire style. Still worth complaining about. Kyochi slandered, thinking about Killer Bee's situation. No doubt. The relationship between Killer Bee and Yuki has indeed reached the point of living in harmony, which is probably the first time in the history of Jinchuriki in the ninja world. While going in by himself, Killer Bee should start trying to fuse the tailed beast chakra under the direction of Gyuki. Unfortunately, Gyuki is too defensive. He was blocked as soon as he approached, and even stopped Killer Bee's fusion process, otherwise he could detect more information. But Gyuki and Killer Bee, Konoha is impossible to copy. Nine Tails and Konoha. That relationship is too complicated. At first this product belonged to wild creatures, but it was forcibly contracted by Madara to deal with Senju Hashirama, and then it was designated as a dangerous creature seal, and even implicated other tailed beasts. In addition, this guy's personality is so difficult to deal with. So, Killer Bee's legendary experience of conquering tailed beasts by rap and chat, Kushina should forget about it. As for influencing with love, he reckoned it would be difficult. Is writing. Teacher, are you awake? A soft girl's voice. There is no doubt that the sunset is red. Kyochi turned his head and saw the girl coming in with a small package. Hong, wake up, writing notes. What's wrong? He put down his pen. There is no table in the tent. The current table is a small Earth-style table he made temporarily. Here's the breakfast I got over there from camp. Yuhi Hong opened the package. A lunchbox. There is a strong food aroma in it. On the front line, ninjas eat bingliangwen, a serious meal that is a rare thing. Even Kyochi has never eaten it. Obviously, this should be the prerogative of medical ninjas these days. Have you eaten? 8. Sit down and eat together. I just took bingliangwan, just taste it. There are not many opportunities like this in the front line. Kyochi didn't pierce, put the scrolls aside, and placed the lunchbox on the stone platform. Of course he didn't take bingliang pills, but Kurenai may have eaten it. In fact, if Kyochi is awake, it's not a big deal to go directly to the medical department to get it, but it's not a meal now, and as he said. In fact, just have a taste. After all, bingliang pills are really unpalatable. Yes. Shi Hahong sat down, first put her hands together and said something. Then, she stretched out her hand. Rice balls. 1 for 2. As a person who has not touched meals for almost a few months, ordinary rice balls can also be delicious. Kurenai Yuhi was curious, but Kyochi didn't say anything, so she didn't ask. She kept her eyes fixed and knew the truth of knowing too much is not a good thing. However, while eating rice balls, Kyochi noticed that Kurenai Yuhi unconsciously glanced at the scrolls from the corner of his eye, and couldn't help but smile secretly. 11 years old after all. A few records of Cloud Shinobi's body data, although not very useful, but if you want to study the connection between the strength of the lightning-style armor and physical skills, maybe it will be useful. After all, medical treatment is not slice research, and the data we have is relatively limited. Yuhi Hong suddenly realized, and nodded thoughtfully. Kyochi is very satisfied after eating rice balls. Crispy. It would be more comfortable if there is a hot spring bath. It is a pity that there is no time to see the customs of Tangnan village as the hot spring town is just around the corner. Kyochi finished with emotion, looked at Yuhi Hong and said, how are the wounded, are they okay? We don't have many wounded. Now we are mainly treating the wounded who resisted Cloud Shinobi's attack before. The wounded yesterday are basically beyond recovery. Sunset sighed. Due to tactical reasons, Konoha basically didn't confront Cloud Shinobi's troops head-on yesterday, but the ones who made direct contact. All dead. Kyochi expected, but didn't expect, that Cloud Shinobi was so fierce. No wonder I and Killer Bee rushed to the front of the defense yesterday. There was almost no chakra, and finally had to use Killer Bee to lift the seal to break through. It seems that the two of them have always been the forwards on the road to open the way. Your medical ninjutsu is not bad, do you have any ideas for the follow-up? Kyochi asked. I have to learn both illusion and medical skills, and I want to focus on medical skills in the future. Kurenai Yuhi said, after experiencing the battlefield, I found that although illusion is very effective, it is very weak when encountering a powerful ninja. It's good to have an idea. Illusion is not weak, but there is no blood succession boundary level technique. Concentrating on illusion is a disadvantage in the Jonin confrontation. Yes, I understand what the teacher means. Kurenai Yuhi's body and strength are not strong, and her chakra capacity is also very small. Duties such as ninjutsu and frontal attack are not suitable for her. Now it is good to focus on supporting and practicing. I'm afraid that I won't be able to count, for example, a certain soil. Kyochi smiled. After a war, Yuhi Hong also matured a lot. Like a qualified ninja. It turned out that she focused on illusion, and among several subsequent Jonins, her progress was the slowest. Now, she switched to medical ninjutsu, which also has the conditions for cultivation. This room for improvement is much stronger than illusion. Certainly. She didn't let go of illusion, she learned her own, light, illusion and willow sword skill very quickly. It can be seen that she is still very talented in illusion, but lack of a powerful illusion inheritance. Kyochi thought for a while and said, I still have a few illusions here, and you can learn them slowly after returning to the village. If you are really interested in illusions, you can try to develop them yourself, not necessarily limited to the techniques of the predecessors. Yes. Sunset bowed her head. Kyochi nodded slightly and said nothing more. Yuhihong is not stupid, these principles should be understood. Let's go. Go to the medical class to have a look. Kyochi got up and wanted to take Kurenai Yuhi to the medical class. He taught while he was a doctor, but when he went out, he saw Orochimaru wandering around in the camp. Thinking about it, but, teacher, I'm going to study in the medical class first. Well, I'll come over when I'm done. Goodbye, teacher. Yuhihong bowed, and then went to the medical class with the package in her arms. Sensible. Kyochi sighed in his heart, feeling a little warm. Subsequently, he walked towards Orochimaru speechlessly. I really envy you. There are such good disciples in the camp. They wait for you to wake up outside before bringing food in. Orochimaru laughed and joked. If you are interested, you can accept one yourself. Ha ha. Orochimaru smiled and said nothing. Kyochi pondered. It seems that he really took in a female apprentice behind him. Mitarashi Anko. He is still in the ninja school. Before that, many grades were temporarily mixed for teaching, and he still listened to the class under him. But now it seems to be back to the lower grades. In the next non-war period, Konoha will return to 11 or 12 years old before graduating. It is estimated that it will take several years. Kyochi quickly pulled his thoughts back, focused on Orochimaru, and asked, You came to me? Well, while you were resting, I went to find some information. Orochimaru handed over a scroll. Kyochi opened his eyes and was suddenly surprised. Above is a string of names. Most of the names Kyochi are unfamiliar, but one surname stands out. Wind Festival. Is this a list of people related to Senju? As expected of Kyochi-kun. Orochimaru nodded slightly. Kyochi frowned. He really needs this thing, but Orochimaru. What are you drawing? You like research, and I happen to like it too. Moreover, I am looking forward to your research results. If you succeed, the entire ninja world rules may have to be changed. It's too early to say this now. Kyochi shook his head. In the final analysis, the rules of the ninja world have the final say on the strong. If this old Madara does not remove the oxygen tube for a day, he will not be able to survive for a day. After living for so long, why are you still not dead? But, thinking that there would be black Zetsu without Madara, he sighed secretly again. The more you know, the more you fear. I really envy other people who don't know anything and live comfortably. Orochimaru didn't know why he was sighing, but he still had a very important question. The other thing you said yesterday is that you plan to set up a place dedicated to ninjutsu research after you go back, right? Count me in then. You guess. Kyochi weighed the scroll to express his gratitude, then put it in his arms, and went to Konoha's medical class. Orochimaru was silent. I said half of it before, but I didn't expect. And, you guessed it, but. He was basically sure that what Kyochi didn't say was the research department. From Chishin calling to Kyochi's ninjutsu and swordsmanship, they are all full of creation and research, and the wood style project this time allowed Orochimaru to see Kyochi's philosophy. Create, research, and change the entire ninja world. He thinks. That's what Kyochi thinks. Orochimaru licked his lips unconsciously with his tongue. Kyochi may be different from his pursuit of immortality, but if you can change the rules of the entire ninja world and engrave your name on the history of the ninja world like Sage of Six Paths and Senju Hashirama, wouldn't it be another kind of eternal life? It turns out that the answer you said was the research department. Jiraiya appeared from the side and said seriously. Orochimaru gave him a speechless look. This product. Since looking for information before, I followed secretly. How patient. Can't you sleep? The teacher is here, so you can relax, right? Orochimaru. There is no problem with ninjutsu research, but the pursuit of immortality has no end. I advise you not to go astray. I will joke about everything else, but I am serious about this matter. Jiraiya looked serious. The corners of Orochimaru's mouth raised slightly, and he said indifferently, although I didn't find my own way, I saw another way. Forget it, as stupid as you. How can you understand? Another way? Kyochi? Jiraiya was lost in thought. He wanted to ask again, but Orochimaru had slipped away. The wounded are mostly fine. Konoha's loss yesterday may not be 1,000th of Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi's combined loss. In total, they lost 2 or 3 teams. This is still an attempt to block, certainly. Can't blame Orochimaru, Jiraiya for being reckless. If Cloud Shinobi can be blocked, one or two important members of Cloud Shinobi can be captured or more casualties can be caused, then in the end Cloud Shinobi may not only lose, but also have to surrender and pay compensation like Onoki. Unfortunately, Ai and Bai are indeed too fierce. These two formed a sharp knife, tearing apart a path, and then there was third Raikage holding back the entire Iwagakure. It can only be said that there is no weak person named Ai in Cloud Shinobi village. Everyone is ruthless. When Kyochi arrived, Yuhihong was studying and helping the medical class. It is similar to the hospital in the previous life. Novices are basically laying hands in the early stage, and generally have no chance to practice. Yuhihong also has a lot of experience before he dares to participate in the rescue. But Kyochi came over here and gave a small green light. He asked Yuhihong to take the stage to heal a not-so-serious wounded person. During the war, those who were seriously injured were treated first, and for minor injuries, bandages and hemostatic drugs were usually applied first and then a little later. This one is slightly heavier. His injury is relatively deep, but it is not dangerous, so he has been held until now. This is very particular about healing jutsu control. Shi Hahong was under a lot of pressure, but the work was done beautifully. Most of the wounds before were relatively simple, but this time it was her first time treating a relatively deep wound. One or two were okay, but the fifth one, is it not enough? Chakra control still needs to be practiced. Although you can complete the treatment now, chakra consumes too much. In addition, the chakra control power attenuates severely under low physical and mental energy conditions. Kyochi went up and completed the healing. This is a very simple injury. In a normal state, Yuhihong can easily complete the treatment, but with the depletion of physical and mental energy, Hong's concentration and chakra control have declined a lot. As a ninja, this is also something to learn. Not every enemy will come to the door when the state is full. Kyochi is not stingy with knowledge, and by the way told all the medical ninjas some tips for controlling chakra. Rewards are average. Chakra scalpel proficiency. Kyochi didn't deliberately practice this ninjutsu, but he has almost reached full proficiency just by pulling wool. Certainly. He taught these, not for rewards, but purely to teach the ninjas in the medical class while teaching Kurenai Yuhi. A sheep is also driven, and a flock of sheep is also herded. Not much differences. After teaching all morning, at noon, the ninja troops began to mobilize. Go home. Cloud Shinobi is now suffering heavy losses and being attacked by enemies. Konoha has solved Iwagakure and Kirigakure. As long as 4th Raikage does not have cerebral palsy, it is impossible to send troops to deal with Konoha. After 3rd generation got the information about Kyochi Shadow Clone, it became calmer. Ai is clearly not cerebral palsy. He is impatient and straight-tempered, but his mind is normal, and he clearly understands the current situation of Cloud Shinobi village. Otherwise he would not be ashamed to ask Kyochi for medical treatment. Kyochi was free and sent a battle report to Tsunade through Katsuyu. Konoha. Tsunade just came back from the hospital. The chair was still warm when Katsuyu appeared in front of her. Liv. Is there any news from Kyochi? Yes, he has written it all in the intelligence scroll. Give it to me quickly. Tsunade hastily reached out and fetched the scroll of information from the live slug. Open the scroll. Within a few seconds, her eyes twitched slightly. Katsuyu's tentacles moved, and then he crawled back decisively. Next second. Boom. In the Hokage office building, there was the familiar sound of tables collapsing. Master Tsunade again. Don't talk nonsense, there must be a problem with the quality of the table, ahem. Yes. I made a slip of the tongue just now. Everyone on the first floor discussed in low voices. Obviously. They have long been familiar with this kind of thing. As for why Tsunade upstairs is angry, this is not a question that everyone can care about, but a blind guess. It may be related to the situation on the front line. That's the truth. Tsunade was spitting at Katsuyu at this moment. This guy. For a little money, go to the muddy water of 3rd Raikage? He's amazing, he can fly, right? Katsuyu huddled there without making a sound. Ah. Tell me, he is so young, why take that risk? It was the same before, the older generation let the older generation take over, and the old man is still 10 years younger than Onoki. If he can't beat him, can he still hold on? Tsunade was very angry. But, since she asked, Katsuyu couldn't pretend that he didn't exist. As far as I know, he has indeed mastered the ability to fly, a very unique paper escape technique, but the speed is not good, it's a little bit worse. Katsuyu wanted to say that Kyochi was almost disintegrated by Onogi's dust escape, but thinking of Tsunade's reaction after saying this, he changed his words temporarily to prevent the building from being bombed down. Not much money for a table. The value of a building, especially the symbolic building of Konoha, is not generally high, and Tsunade cannot afford to pay for it if it collapses. Tsunade cast a stern look. Something wrong. She stared at him for a few seconds, and then said softly, Luju, please tell me carefully, I really want to hear his heroic performance. It's nothing, just almost killed Onoki with the detonating talisman. Katsuyu eschews the seriousness. Tsunade felt something was wrong, but she couldn't find any evidence, and the live slug refused to eat, so she curled her lips and sat down, looking at the wood debris on the ground, lost in thought. The old man has used one table for more than 10 years, and she started to change 4 tables a month. Counting the one on the ground is 5. Someone will come in later, what excuse should I find? Boom boom boom. The door knocked. Tsunade took a deep breath, sent Katsuyu back to the wet bone forest, then adjusted his clothes, coughed lightly and said, come in. Master Tsunade, is it because the table is of poor quality and collapsed? I have already ordered someone to replace it with a spare one. Are all the materials okay? Cough cough cough. Tsunade coughed. She was about to say that when she got the battle report, she was so excited that she broke the film, but the Ambu ninja who came in even thought of the reason for her. I can't fix her all at once. After finally adjusting it, she nodded, and then passed the scroll over. Like, this is the battle report from the front line. I was so excited when I saw it that I smashed the table. Yes. The Ambu ninja took over and glanced at it, and couldn't help but feel a burst of joy. But he knew that Master Tsunade must not have broken the table because of this. Excited? Who is excited to use strange force? He secretly slandered, but on the surface he said respectfully, Master Tsunade, do you want to give this information to Master Luju? Of course, he is a consultant left behind by the teacher, and he must be asked to take out a charter by the way, ready to welcome the army guy. Leaving aside a lot of wood debris, Tsunade does have the majesty of Hokage. Shang nodded, put away the information, and then ordered his Ambu ninja to clean up the ground and carry the table inside. Still wooden. Tsunade looked at the table lost in thought. Although she is not a carpenter, she has seen pigs running. Has the material of this table become worse? Elephant, this table. Master Tsunade, there is not much difference in the quality of the table, and the functions are the same. This is what Master Luju said. Tsunade was speechless. Same? Really? Can it be different? Anyway, it can't stop your punch. Tsunade waved for them to finish packing and get out. She didn't want to see anyone for a while. When Luju got the information, he naturally had completely different ideas from Tsunade. He is very excited. The front line won, that's just one of them. The second is, in Konoha's new generation, there are finally characters who can carry the banner, and 2 of them appear at once. One is Namikaze Minato. This is not surprising. In the Battle of Mount Kikyo, Minato had already shown his strength and was quite prestigious among ninjas, but what surprised Shikajiu was Kyochi's strength. In the previous battle report, holding Onoki for a long time, Shadow Clone used Katsuyu technique and chakra absorption to provide a lot of healing to Konoha shinobi. And the war against Cloud Shinobi Village, and with Onoki killing 3rd Raikage. This is just a performance of strength. In terms of tactics and command, Kyochi showed unparalleled talent in this war. It's amazing. Tsukumo and Minato, when they were his age, probably didn't have such strong strength and talent. Senju. What a terrible bloodline. Nara was amazed. After a generation, the power of Senju still shines endlessly on Kyochi, reminding everyone of the feeling of being ruled by Senju. Strong and secure. As if they were there would be nothing unsolvable. Lord Luju, should we publicize this battle report or wait for Master Hokage and the others to come back and send it out? Draft it again and post it out. The daimyo will wait for Hokage-sama to come back. Yes. Like putting away the scroll of information. They copied a copy and posted the report, and the original was given to Tsunade. Not for a while. Most people in the village knew the news of the frontline victory. 1. When some ninjas came back from the frontline and brought back the news of Rock Shinobi's surrender, the villagers knew that victory in the east was not far away. After all, Konoha is still stronger. In the past, they had to deal with 3 companies, and most of their forces were divided. Now they have dealt with the enemies one by one, and then concentrated them in one place. Even Cloud Shinobi Village is by no means an opponent. But they didn't expect that Iwagakure surrendered a few days ago, and as a result, Cloud Shinobi Village was defeated today, and the battle report reads. 3rd Raikage was killed jointly by Konoha and Iwagakure. 3rd Raikage. The strongest Raikage so far died under the cooperation of Konoha and Iwagakure. Everyone couldn't believe it, but they were very excited. Is it a teacher? The students in Kyochi watched it, and the image of the teacher instantly appeared in their minds. They haven't seen third Raikage with their own eyes, but his reputation is so great that even genin who just graduated have heard of it. It is said that his lightning-style armor cannot be broken even by tailed beasts. After careful calculation, only a teacher who is good at wind-style swordsmanship and Minato Sr. who also masters wind-style ninjutsu and flying thunder god can break the opponent's terrible defense. With Kyochi's help, almost all the wounded in the camp were dealt with, so the next day, the remaining ninjas also began to evacuate from the front line one after another, including the guards of the Uchiha clan. This time Uchiha was more uncomfortable. They arrived at the front line, but except for the last battle in Kirigakure and Cloud Shinobi Village, they were all patrolling and doing chores at other times, so they had no chance to make a move. This makes many Uchiha people very frustrated. But Fugaku didn't feel aggrieved. On the contrary, he faintly felt that this may be a reflection of the milder, better attitude of Uchiha at the Konoha Hokage party. Third generation does have a heart to ease the relationship. Both Obito and Shisui performed well in the war. Although Obito has a straight mind, he has a pure nature and is a good ninja. Shisui is even better. Smarter, more sensible, also more likely to take on big responsibilities. As the inheritor of some ideas of second generation, if it is not a last resort, third generation does not want to erase Uchiha, which is also the difference between him and Danzo. Certainly. No matter how much he wanted to relax, Uchiha had to cooperate and walk down the steps. Hope Fugaku understands. Third generation sighed. By the way, where is Orochimaru? What has he been up to? Teacher, you ask me. Jiraiya was thinking about what to do back home. When she was asked a question out of the blue, she immediately fell into a tangle. Say it yourself. Or not. Yeah, didn't you follow him all the time yesterday? Third generation is very strange to say. Jiraiya suddenly coughed violently, but he forgot that the old man still has that technique, so he can know many things without going out, so he sighed and said, it's nothing, I found some lists of Senju descendants, and I should plan to help Kyochi get that technique quickly. Click done. Descendants of Senju. Third generation frowned. If it's really just helping, he's relieved. He's afraid that the kid will think about doing other research, such as blood resuscitation. It should not be the direction you are worried about. I feel that he may have found a different pursuit from Kyochi. Jiraiya said. He actually cared about Orochimaru's affairs, but when he went back and thought about it yesterday, he felt that Orochimaru's so-called another way should not be the crooked way they thought. Not so much if it had anything to do with Kyochi. Kyochi loves research but has a strong bottom line. As for what Orochimaru was thinking, to be frank, on this point, Jiraiya felt that Orochimaru was right in half a sentence. He really didn't understand what Orochimaru was thinking. He used to think he understood, but later he found out that he never knew what Orochimaru was after or what he wanted, and he still doesn't know it now. Hope so. The master and apprentice have different melancholy. But Orochimaru, he doesn't care what the old man and Jiraiya think, what to do, but he doesn't know how Kyochi will study in the future, so he thinks about his own research. In the past, what he pursued was the immortality of the soul. Can now. On the basis of the immortality of the soul, he also wants to leave a strong mark in the history of the ninja world. Want it all. This is what Orochimaru is now after. However, if he communicates with Kyochi, he will find that Kyochi doesn't think so much, he just wants to make some money and do something by the way. As for changing the ninja world and leaving a name in the history books, these are just Orochimaru's own speculations. Kyochi's current thinking is simply to hope that everyone will have enough to eat, and that life in the village will be better, and by the way, they will raise some fat sheep to sweat their wool. As for Madara and the Otsutsuki clan, we'll see. I can't beat it now, I can think about how to solve it after I can beat it. Kyochi is pragmatic. A false name is something external to one's body, so if one leaves a name in history, one has to survive. Like now. Teacher, wood style, it's wood style. Kurenai Yuhi looked at Kyochi's hand and shouted ecstatically. A small seedling appeared in the palm of his hand, he couldn't tell whether it was grass or a tree, in short, only a bud broke out from the mud in his palm. Tiny, almost invisible. Not only that, his wood-style chakra quickly disintegrated. The seedlings withered and turned yellow in the blink of an eye, and turned from seedlings to dead seedlings in less than a second. No matter how Kyochi typed chakra, there was no response. Keep your voice down. This is not wood style. Just pretend you didn't see it, understand? With a dark face, Kyochi cancelled the surgery. Is this wood style? It's not even a grass escape. To be frank. In the bottom of his heart, he once secretly laughed at Fengji Mengwang, thinking that her green technique could not be considered wood style at all, but could only be regarded as grass escape. Result, ashamed. Hong still shouted so loudly. I can't afford to lose this man. Fortunately, everyone didn't seem to hear it, and few people came to watch. Kyochi wondered what the problem was. This is the result of his thinking for a day. Combined with the systematic analysis of Hashirama cells, he deduced part of the wood-style information. Now it seems to be successful, but not completely successful. It's weird. However, this is obviously a success. Although it is only a seedling, it is still a good start, right? It won't wither if it succeeds. Kyochi threw away the soil and went on his way wholeheartedly, without explaining in detail, because he didn't understand where the problem was. It should be no big problem, but wood-style chakra collapsed after less than a second. It seems. After returning, you have to apply for Hashirama cell support. Applying for Hashirama cells is quite troublesome, and there are too many people staring at it, and it is impossible for ordinary people to apply. Fortunately, I am not an ordinary person. Kyochi remembered at this moment that he still has the status of the prospective captain of Anbu. Applying in the name of Anbu, as long as the procedure is legal, it should not be a big problem. I almost went back. He is now returning home, but it's a pity. He can't just run away when the big troops are moving. Later, Hong was a little tired. This is the result of Hong's continuous physical training in the past year. If she had just graduated, she would not have been able to hold on for so long. Kyochi used the reverse chakra absorption technique to send her own chakra there, decomposing it into mental energy and physical energy to help her maintain her physical strength. Then it occurred to him. Seems like a great way to help them exercise. Not fit enough. I have. As long as you are unconscious and unconscious, keep running, and it is not over until you are unconscious. After practicing so hard, he didn't believe that he couldn't improve his physical fitness. Wonderful. Hong can endure hardships, but her physical talent is not enough. With Kyochi providing physical recovery, she gritted her teeth along the way, and even ran from the end of the army to the front with Kyochi. Seeing this scene, many ninjas were secretly envious. Not everyone can have such a helpful teacher like Hong. Not to mention, now Kyochi's reputation in the ninja army is no less than that of Sanin and Namikaze Minato, who masters the flying thunder god. Even in the Western army, Kyochi's prestige is even higher. After all, the Western battlefield is dominated by Kyochi from beginning to end, and he even developed lightning-style Kilin to deal with Onoki, capture Wangtu and Laozi, and heal him with Katsuyu technique. Although Minato did a lot of credit for leading the sneak attack, it was not a frontal battlefield after all. So, at this moment, I don't know how many people want to become Kyochi's disciples. Unfortunately, 3 of Kyochi's disciples are still very young, especially Uchiha Shisui is only 6 years old, which is not even a year old. Hong became a Chunin. But she is too young, with Kakashi as the jewel ahead. Not many Chunin are willing to form a team with them during the non-war period, so it is most likely to stay under Kyochi. There are no vacancies. Even big families can't arrange for people to go in. Even. Some people have already started thinking about Kyochi's disciples. Such as Asuma, Hong. Not being Kyochi's disciple, but being his disciple's disciple seems good. Well, the baby hasn't been born yet. There are quite a few people who have this idea, such as Yamanaka Hai, Aburame Jawei and so on. Konoha is located in the traffic hub of the Kingdom of Fire, in the north and center of the Kingdom of Fire, so it is actually not that far to go back to Konoha from the northeast. Even if a large force moves, it will take at most 2 days to take care of the weak and the wounded. Not to mention, the first batch to leave were basically Genin and Chunin. As far as Kyochi and the others are concerned, except for the medical class, most of them are elite ninjas above elite Chunin, and the slowest ones are Kurenai Yuhi and the wounded. Hong caught up, and everyone's overall speed was much faster. Take a break. After eating Bingliang pills, everyone found a place to sit down and rest. Hong sat under the tree and soon fell asleep. Really no defense at all. Kyochi sat on the side, feeling emotional in his heart, and was about to squint his eyes for a nap when a slight sound caught his attention. Kakashi is on the tree, hesitating whether to go down or not. Then, there was a light pat on the shoulder. He turned quickly. As a result, Kyochi stood behind him, holding a handful of kunai in his hand, and asked with a blank look, "What are you doing?" "Me. No, I just want to tell you that I tried the method you said, and now I have some ideas, and I want to show you." Kakashi spoke incoherently. "Everyone is resting, let's talk about it when we go back, but if you can concentrate on lightning-style chakra, you can try to make lightning-style chakra produce high-frequency vibrations later." Killer Bee came to Kyochi's mind. Kakashi was thoughtful, then nodded slightly, and then he was silent again. The expression couldn't be seen through the mask, but Kyochi felt that the kid was probably struggling to ask again. "Just talk about it. Yes, I want to ask, is there any clue about the Earth-style swordsmanship you mentioned last time? I'm just curious. Kakashi asked. Before meeting Kyochi, he felt that his sword skills were not the best in Konoha, but should be among the best, and his heart swelled. But after seeing Kyochi, his self-confidence was hit again and again, especially the Earth-style swordsmanship. He really can't think of it. Do you know about light-heavy rocks and aggravated rocks? In fact, it is this kind of Earth-style nature transformation. I haven't mastered it yet, but I guess it may be the use of Earth-style chakra to transform the density. It's a good thing to be willing to study. Everyone's talent is different. Maybe you can research the mystery of weight nature transformation faster than me? Kyochi doesn't blame Kakashi for being so ambitious. It is a good thing to study hard, and it is better than staring at the predecessor's techniques, only knowing how to learn but not reforming and innovating. Yes, thank you Mr. Kyochi. Earth-style swordplay. Kakashi didn't ask. Kyochi almost forgot about it. It's not that my memory is poor, but there are too many things to study. Not to mention the fusion research of Yuhu Zizai technique in the far distance, there are wood-style, Hashirama cells, lightning-style, and fire-style cultivation attempts in recent times. Not counting yin and yang, he is born with 3 chakra attributes. Recently, Kyochi is trying to develop lightning-style and fire-style the day after tomorrow. Everyone's situation is different, and the difficulty of developing the remaining attributes is also different. Lightning-style is not difficult. He has mastered the lightning-style nature transformation that comes with Chidori. In 100 Healings Mark, there is lightning-style chakra absorbed by Reikage. As long as the 4-sign seal outside the 100 Healings Mark is transformed into the 8-sign seal, and the lightning-style chakra slowly penetrates and affects the body, it should not be difficult to stimulate the lightning-style attribute. Fire-style. Without the help of the system. If you study with all your heart, the main body in the clone can be produced in a few months at most, but compared to the fire-style, which has little practicality for Kyochi, it is clear that wood-style and Hashirama cell research have a higher priority. Alerted by Kakashi, one more weight has now been added to the list: nature transformation. Too difficult. A person's power is too limited. The research institute must do it. Konoha's genius should be devoted to endless ninjutsu research together. Kyochi made up his mind. When I go back, I will hold a meeting with 3rd generation and Tsunade, and throw all capable ones into the research institute. I don't know what to study, but he can provide a few topics. Like Mitokado Homura. He has been in a high position for a long time, so if he is really engaged in education, it is estimated that he will teach a bunch of nerds. He can take care of him temporarily, but after a long time, he will harm the next generation. Or do research. Lawbreakers like Orochimaru need a stubborn older generation to watch over, so that the 3rd generation can feel at ease. Perfect. Mr. Kyochi, I heard that there is a Chunin cram school in the village? Kakashi asked in a low voice. Chunin sprint class, what's the matter? Does anyone from your Hitaki family want to go? I want to go. What? Kyochi looked over strangely. Is it funny? Kakashi's ability, to be honest, is not enough for Jonin, but it is definitely more than enough for Jonin and Anbu. Going to the Chunin sprint class is useless except wasting life. What do you think you're missing? Are you dumbfounded? I feel like you're out of your mind too. Kyochi felt that he needed to enlighten him. Kakashi was silent, and then replied, I don't know, but I don't think I'm worthy of being a Chunin or a Jonin. Your ability is more than enough to be a Jonin. According to Tsunade-sama's psychology, you are just mentally ill. Kyochi smiled. Previously, Kakashi had problems with his thinking. Not only did he suffer from mental illness, but he was also very taboo about others mentioning it. He did not have the conditions for guidance and education at all. My mental state is much better now than before. Master Tsunade. I have a mental illness. Kakashi's eyes widened. And this disease? He really doesn't know. What Tsunade-sama thought of after returning to the village, is still researching and establishing a project, and it has not been made public. Kyochi explained. Kakashi nodded slightly. If it was someone else, he might not believe it, but if Master Tsunade said it, then he might really be sick. But then, he showed a look of regret. According to Minato-sensei, Tsunade-sama will succeed Hokage soon. So, even if the psychological medicine project is approved, Master Tsunade probably won't have the chance to give himself. Kakashi looked up at Kyochi. He remembered that Kyochi had a very good relationship with Tsunade, so, is it possible that Kyochi also knows how to heal psychological problems? Ms. Kyochi, do you understand too? I understand a little, but it's not a deep understanding, and it's not appropriate to talk about it now. If you really want to talk, go back and find another time. Yes. Understand slightly. Mr. Kyochi said that he understood a little every time, but in the end he knew more than anyone else. When Kakashi heard it, he felt more at ease and had a feeling of steadiness. Reality is magical. Kyoshi clearly told the truth, but none of them believed it. Kakashi left quietly. Not everyone is like him, young, vigorous, and finally have time to rest. Everyone leans against the tree or rests on their own. The breaks are short. After a while, everyone started again. In 2 days at most, they will return to Konoha from the front line, and on Konoha's side, many ninjas have even started to do tasks again. During this period of time, there was a backlog of tasks in the village, and the ninjas who had returned were already at full strength. Even the children who were enrolled in the Chunin sprint class spent half the day in class and half the day doing D-level tasks. Certainly. Tsunade is no devil either. This group of people will probably have a few days of rest when they go back, and they just formed a rotation with the previous group. The break is over, back on the road. Kyoshi was a little worried because he found a very serious problem. The live slug didn't show up, and sent him Tsunade's reply. It seems Tsunade is pissed and the consequences are dire. The road back to the village is very difficult. Kyoshi felt a little uneasy. They were not far from the village, but the closer they got, the more worried Kyoshi was. If he went back this time, he wouldn't be lying in the hospital like Jiraiya, right? Konoha, I haven't been back for a long time. Jiraiya sighed. Every time he came back from the war, he felt like it had been a long time, and he couldn't contain his excitement when he returned to Konoha. Good wine, beauties, hot springs, hiss. No. Now Konoha almost has the final say on Tsunade. If I go to that place and find out, I'm afraid I'll have to go to the hospital. Jiraiya shuddered. Just thinking about it, he turned his head and saw Kyoshi and Kurenai Yuhi unknowingly reach the end again, staying on the same line with him. He leans over. Kyoshi, why did you come back after running? Could it be that Hong can't run anymore? Hehe. Do you want me to call a toad out to help you? No. Thank you, Master Jiraiya. Shi Hahong held her breath and ran. Jiraiya. Kyoshi glanced unkindly. Jiraiya laughed for a while, and said, I'm just kidding, Hong, physical skills are very important, and you must not slack off. No, I don't think it's necessary to be red. It's more because the toad is ugly. Kyoshi sneered and complained. No, really? Jiraiya's eyes lit up. Yuhi Hong was stuck, unable to speak for a while. Because those toads are really ugly, let her say they are not ugly. It's a bit against conscience and aesthetics. Konoha was right in front, and many people were excited, but Kyoshi and Jiraiya were different. Kyoshi looked at Kurenai Yuhi and said, Don't embarrass the child, Korin, you go first. Yes. Kurenai Yuhi breathed a sigh of relief, and ran away quickly, without answering Jiraiya's question at all. It's so energetic. Jiraiya sighed, and said in a low voice, Kyoshi, the war is over, I'm going to go out and see the outside world. Tsunade is in the village, don't you dare go to the hot spring? Don't talk nonsense. Jiraiya looked around nervously. There was no one around, so he breathed a sigh of relief, and said firmly, How come? I want to go out and see the outside world, Tangren Village, Iron Country, Long Ren Village and other small ninja villages, and by the way, go to the Rain Country look at Yahiko them. I'll really listen. Kyoshi smiled without saying a word. The country of soup, also known as the land of hot springs. I was serious. Jiraiya was helpless. Let's go, no one is stopping you. Before you leave, you can have a drink with Miss Tsunade and Orochimaru. After Miss Tsunade comes back, it seems that you haven't met yet? Kyoshi said. Jiraiya frowned, seemed to be struggling, thought for a long time, nodded and said, It makes sense. By the way, what research institute did Orochimaru say you want to set up, is it true or not? I have this idea, but don't worry, the institute will set up a series of rules to prevent everyone from messing around. Mito's seniors are not very good at managing the village, but discipline should not be a big problem. Kyoshi said calmly. Jiraiya's eyes widened when she heard this, and she said in surprise, Mito's door. Let him take care of it. This is fine, but didn't you find yourself a boss? It's okay. I'm not afraid of being investigated. More sensitive research will go through the village and Anbu. He can't control me. The main purpose of throwing it there is to prevent other people from doing things that are out of line. Besides, he only has the right to find fault. Okay. It's up to Hokage to decide. Kyoshi is calm. Anbu is so capricious, hellish power. Jiraiya sighed in his heart. Look at this one, before the institute was established, he had already figured out how to avoid others and avoid being nagged. But I have to say that after hearing Kyoshi's arrangement, he felt a lot more at ease in his heart. For the older generation like Mitokado Homura, throwing them in the village is useless except for disturbing thinking, and none of them are useful at critical moments. But throw it away to catch discipline and find fault. Quite reliable, they have more time and like to take care of things. This can be considered a proper arrangement. Konoha was in front, and everyone was assigned to several intersections in Konoha, and queued up to register. At the level of Kyoshi and Jiraiya, they could have easily entered with privileges, but neither of them passed. It's not high-spirited. Sheer fear. The two thought of the same thing. Jiraiya was punched and sent to the hospital. Why don't you go in? Yes, why didn't I go in? You must have committed a crime and offended Tsunade, and I didn't commit a crime. What am I afraid of? Jiraiya suddenly realized. He really wanted to go back to the village to see the hot springs, but didn't he go there yet? Kyoshi patted him on the shoulder and said, I understand, you are a kind of psychological shadow, a kind of mental illness. But, you are in trouble now, you can go in with me later and help me talk about it a good word, no matter how bad it is, I will help you. Why should I help you? Otherwise, I'll tell my sister, you took me to see the hot spring. You can't threaten me with this in the future, and I will fight you with this threat. Besides, didn't I drink too much? If I am unconscious, it's nothing. Jiraiya was furious. I'm cheap or not, but I just go with this guy. The most exasperating thing is to rely on yourself. He decided to turn around and leave. But the handle was in the hands of Kyoshi, so he had no choice but to take a deep breath, and walked into the village with Kyoshi, still thinking in his heart. Do you really have a mental illness? Kyoshi braced himself. With Jiraiya, no problem. He, you guys are coming in. HMPH, I just finished dealing with things, let's go, have a drink? Tsunade smiled broadly. The faces of the two froze. It came so fast. Tsunade, we just want to let them in first, we can't do something special, can we? Jiraiya coughed lightly. Seeing Tsunade's gentle appearance, his legs went limp for a while, although he knew it wasn't for him. But just afraid. Miss Tsunade, I think so too. By the way, why did you get off work so early? Have you finished dealing with the affairs in the village? We can't abolish public affairs for personal reasons. Kyoshi chuckled. He still doesn't know where his anger comes from, but he always feels that this storm is directed at him, so it's not wrong to be a little cowardly. When the teacher came back, he took care of the finishing touches. Nothing is more important than welcoming you, right? Let's go. I have prepared a table of dishes at home, just waiting for you. Tsunade was ebullient. The corner of Kyoshi's mouth twitched. Other people's dishes were not good at best, but Tsunade's dishes were really terrible, and it was still a question of whether there was this dish on the table. Obviously. Jiraiya is heard. At this time, Tsunade glanced over and fixed his eyes on Jiraiya. Seeing that he didn't leave, he frowned slightly and asked, Jiraiya, what's the matter with you? What? I'm fine. Jiraiya immediately forced a smile and said, oh, yes, I won't get involved in the reminiscences between you siblings, the three of us will find time to get together some other day. Well, I didn't prepare much food, you forget it, and I will entertain you next time I have a chance. Tsunade said lightly. Really? This time it wasn't for me. Jiraiya threw herself a begging and pleading look. It's not that he refuses, but, your family is too cruel, and now there is no plan to let him together. Kyoshi was speechless, he couldn't really expose Jiraiya's matter, at least someone didn't sell him to third generation, so he shouldn't be too unconscionable. He sighed softly. It seems that this trip to the mountains of swords and seas of fire must be done. Kyoshi speculates that it may have something to do with his outstanding performance on the front line. In the eyes of others, Kyoshi naturally shines on the front line and has made great contributions. He can be called the first person of the younger generation, but this is not always the case in front of his family. But which link is the problem, then he is completely unclear. Girls' minds, men don't guess, can't figure it out. Kyoshi doesn't bother with that. Once on the battlefield, you will know what is going on. All the way back. Kyoshi-sama, Tsunade-sama. Master Kyoshi, you are back, about the Chunin sprint class. Cough, Master Tsunade, I will look for it another day. Shiranui Genma's father just asked casually, but when he noticed Tsunade's eyes, he trembled in fright, apologized and left. Can't afford it. Walked for a while. Kyoshi's expression hardened. Stop. This is not the way home. Of course, this is not the way home, but the way to the training ground. Where is Tsunade? Please eat. This is please fist eat. Master Kyoshi. You are really outstanding on the front line. You dare to go up to those who others dare not fight, and you dare to take on tasks that others dare not take. I heard that there is a shadow clone assigned to help with treatment? Tsunade smiled broadly. Listen to me. I went there with confidence. The fight with Third Raikage was actually not as dangerous as you think. Minato and I were paddling without exerting all our strength. Kyoshi said. Tsunade said with a bad face, paddle. Reikage's speed is not slow. Why do you want to pull you together when you are a big wild wood? What if? Miss Tsunade, don't dare next time. Kyochi knew. Don't explain too much at this time, it's the best choice to admit it. The more he explained, the more angry Tsunade became. But he underestimated Tsunade's anger. The anger accumulated by the 5 tables cannot be alleviated by a few words. Next moment, Tsunade went straight to Kyochi in an instant. Is this for real? Kyochi nearly avoided it, with cold sweat on his forehead. Boom. There was a loud bang. Where Kyochi used to be, it turned into a big pit. This is about to hit, and I will really go to the hospital. How dare you challenge Inomu? I heard that you blocked a bunch of people by yourself. Awesome. Tsunade spoke incessantly and was furious. Another punch came out. Kyochi dodged, nearly and dangerously, and the chakra airflow of the strange force technique brushed along his body without causing any damage. Tsunade didn't notice it, she always felt that she was only a little bit short, and her speed was still improving. While beating, he cursed. Now when people see you, they call you by your name first. Are you the one who will be the 4th generation? Right? She was furious. Although she and Kyochi are not directly related by blood, they lived together anyway, and the kid called her sister, which made her feel warm. The results of it, on the battlefield, he was even more reckless than Duan and Nawaki. If it weren't for some strength, I'm afraid I could only see his corpse in the rear. Do not. If it was the original stripping technique, she couldn't even see the corpse. Tsunade was even angrier at the thought. What can you do? Next moment. Her speed increased suddenly, and she came to Kyochi in an instant. At this time, it was too late for Kyochi to speed up, but he still had a way. Tsunade's fist hit Moji. Kyochi's body disintegrated and turned into a pile of flying paper, then reorganized and condensed in the air, and a pair of paper wings grew out of his back. Miss Tsunade, fight back, don't use the activation technique. Brat. Tsunade narrowed his eyes. Is this the origami secret in the mouth of a living slug? Really weird. It's not body replacement technique, but it's better than body replacement technique. There is no sign at all, and it directly turns into a pile of paper. But this paper should have been infused with chakra in advance. She took a closer look, and found that there were many detonating symbols mixed in the paper. These detonating symbols were covered by the paper, and some of them even changed into the appearance of ordinary paper. If it is not for the strong perception, it is impossible to find it. This technique. She thought about it for a moment, and she already had a way to deal with it. Your technique is very strong, but it cannot be immune to special liquids, such as oil and acid. I just need to use Katsuyu's acid to corrode your technique and it will be useless. Tsunade said lightly. I can still escape from ice. Kyochi flicked his fingers, and the next moment, ice skates appeared in the air. Then print. In the next moment, countless dirt emerged from his palm. In the blink of an eye, a huge clay figurine appeared, and the clay figurine was covered with a thick layer of ice armor, and the soil was even frozen into permafrost. A compound ninjutsu of gangly-style technique and ice escape. Tsunade was secretly shocked. The former is the ninjutsu of Iwagakure, while the latter is the blood succession boundary of the Kirigakure Snow Clan. Unexpectedly, Kyochi developed these 2 techniques silently. Unbelievable. Although the battle report sent back was detailed, Kyochi did not mention the details of the battle. It's not that he doesn't show off, but that he was afraid of Tsunade's worry if he wrote it carefully. As a result, Tsunade seemed to have misjudged his own strength, and Kyochi had to show it off. My ice escape can block a simple dust escape. The columnar dust escape is far away but has a small range. It can be avoided with speed. No matter how bad it is, it can be avoided with origami. Kyochi explained. After Onogi saw through all the tricks, I stopped chasing. I turned my head to deal with Huang-Tu and his men, and finally used Huang-Tu to force Onogi to surrender. What's the matter with old Z? Tsunade said angrily. When she saw Lao Z, she was happy at first, then angry. This is 4 Tails Jinchuriki. Lao Z is different from ordinary Jinchuriki. He has been a Jinchuriki for many years, and his mastery of the power of tailed beasts is beyond ordinary people. And she got information that Kyochi and Jiraiya were only 2 people at the time, but she went deep alone, facing a dozen or more rock shinobi teams. How arrogant. In case of a mistake, Konoha's front will collapse directly. Lao Z had Jiraiya at the time. My ice escape could restrain him, and Samahada could absorb his chakra. By the way, Miss Tsunade, I also discovered a usage of 100 healings mark. As Kyochi said, lightning-style chakra emerged from his body. His lightning-style talent is poor. Tsunade knows it, seeing the blazing lightning-style chakra on him, plus the sentence just now. Tsunade quickly understood what he meant. Tailed beast chakra. Beastization. She understood. No wonder this kid dared to gang up on Lao Zi. Really well prepared. Facts have proved that Lao Zi was indeed captured by them. If Jinchuriki and Wangtu had not been captured, Onoki might not have given up so quickly. She has nothing to say. This kid seems to be really prepared. Kyochi breathed a sigh of relief, and seemed to convince Tsunade. He is getting ready to go down. As a result, the next moment. Boom. With a loud noise, his ice giant was smashed into pieces by his fist. The extremely hard giant was smashed to pieces by the strange force, and pieces of frozen soil turned into dust and scattered in the air. Cold sweat dripped from Kyochi's forehead. What's going on? Still not relieved? It shouldn't be. They can all sit down and chat in a good voice, and it is reasonable to say that this step is already fine. Little devil, come on, let's have a serious fight. You can't hit me. Long-winded, come down for me. Tsunade jumped up, his speed soaring. Baihao technique. In this state, her stamina, speed, and strength have improved a lot, and she came to her in the blink of an eye, kicking Kyochi down with one kick. However, the moment Kyochi was touched, Kyochi's body disintegrated and turned into pieces of paper, which reassembled in another place. Tsunade was helpless. Her medical ninjutsu is powerful, and there are a lot of methods, but most of them have to touch the body to be effective. I have never seen a technique like Kyochi that directly turns into a pile of paper. Times have changed. Forget it, I'm too lazy to fight, come down and take you to dinner. Shall we go to an izakaya to eat? Shizune and Ori made it. Do you think I'm really free to cook for you? It's a good idea. I'm so busy every day. How can I have time to cook? Tsunade sighed. It's not Hokage yet. Being Hokage, I'm afraid it will be a bunch of bad things. As she walked, she said, Hokage is a fool, but Jiraiya and Orochimaru are very smart. Neither of them wants to be Hokage. The war is over, Jiraiya is leaving, right? It is said that I will travel around the ninja world and find my own way. Kyochi came over and answered softly. Yeah, why would he stay in Konoha? Tsunade babbled, as if Hokage's position was really a burden, envious of Jiraiya and Orochimaru's ease. But Kyochi noticed that her spirit was different from before. In the past, Tsunade lived in the dark, like a person without bones, unable to find a backbone. Now what? In the prime of life. Although he complained about all the dissatisfaction, his eyes were full of energy, as if he had changed himself. How about your? How? I didn't pay attention, but it's much better. I went to watch an operation yesterday. Although I felt a little uncomfortable, I didn't tremble. After Tsunade finished speaking, he felt a burst of emotion. Maybe when people are busy, they will forget the past, and I think they want me to go on with their dreams instead of living in the shadow of the past. It's great that you can figure it out for yourself. Kyochi couldn't help but sigh with emotion. To put it bluntly, Tsunade's hemophobia is a knot in his heart. As long as the knot is untied, everything will naturally heal without medicine. Thinking about it carefully, he understood why Tsunade was so excited. She probably pinned Nawaki's feelings on herself and regarded herself as a family member, so she didn't want to let herself take risks. The family doesn't care about the level of achievement, they just want to be safe and sound. Even more so for Tsunade. Because her family members with extremely high pursuits have all died and become a stroke of history. Life is too fragile. Even the Senju family cannot avoid the cycle of life and death. After Tsunade vented his emotions, he didn't mention the previous events, but talked about some recent events in the village. Speaking of Chunin sprint classes, that class, I suggest you go back and invite another person to go over. What's wrong? Mito's senior has enough prestige, but he hasn't brought in newcomers for a long time, and guiding students is simply messing around, without any rules. Tsunade couldn't help complaining. Mitokado Homura is 50 years old now, but in Tsunade's opinion, he is even more rigid than Onogi in his thinking. After she finished complaining, she said with a headache, it's hard for me to think of what position is suitable for him to play, and he won't be criticized by those older generations for his low status. Sister Tsunade, I have a position, which is very suitable for him. Kyochi smiled. Then, he told Tsunade about the idea of the institute. Tsunade frowned. Graduate school? At first hearing, her reaction was to say no. The original intention of ninjutsu research is good, but the final result may be to open an unknown box and release terrifying creatures. However, it was Kyochi who proposed, and she listened patiently. Finally she too fell into thought. Let Mitokado Homura go to supervise, govern the institute? Manage discipline and find fault. Regardless of Mitokado Homura or Utatane Kaharu, they seem to be the top leaders of Konoha. Tsunade's eyes lit up. This is an angle I never thought of. But for a job, set up a research institute? would it be too much? Tsunade frowned, a little worried about people like Orochimaru. You misunderstood me. Giving him a job is incidental. I mainly want to set up a research institute. Ninjutsu research is essential. Only research can make the village and the ninja world progress together, and it's better to be blocked than to be sparse. Kyochi said simply. If it's not allowed, why don't you study it? Obviously impossible. Tsunade pondered for a long time. She had to admit that Kyochi had a point. In the past few years, Danzo and Orochimaru have been secretly researching, and the prohibition of the bright side will only breed darkness and make people in the dark cheer. Instead of being blocked, it is better to let go of some restrictions and let everyone know what can and cannot be done. Bring them together and allow them to research within the rules. Resolve conflicts and facilitate supervision and management. Thinking of this, she nodded and said, you go back and file a case. This matter concerns the village. You must call the Jonin in the village and the patriarchs of each family to discuss it together. Yes, I understand. Kyochi nodded, then hesitated for a moment, not mentioning the Hashirama cell right away. This thing is sensitive. It's inconvenient to talk about it in public. It's better to talk about it when it's just the two of them in the Hokage building when you have time. The same goes for Woodstyle. Together with Tsunade, he returns home. This time is different from last time. Probably Tsunade didn't have much time to exchange physical skills with Kushina, or moved the place, so the yard here is intact. Certainly. Kyochi guessed in his heart that it might also be related to Tsunade's debts. Before Tsunade relied on gambling, not only paid off her debts, but also made a lot of money, but after returning to Konoha, she became busy. In addition, Konoha's casino is very legal, and no one dares to pay $1,000, so she worked in Muya. Leaf's words. Apart from salary, there should be no other place to make money. Counting the compensation for destroying the yard, Tsunade probably has little savings. Can only say, poverty clears the mind. But then, thinking of the money I earned. Kyochi thought something was wrong in his heart. Tsunade has money, and fears that his hands will itch again. Be thoughtful. He began to think of a way in his mind. Walking in, Shizune had just served the dishes. When he saw Kyochi and Tsunade, he said pleasantly, Master Kyochi, you are back. Sit down, the dishes will be ready soon. Thank you, Shizune, for preparing such a hearty dish. Fish, shrimp, grilled meat, vegetables, plus a bowl of soup that looks delicious. A table of dishes here, people's appetite greatly increased. In particular, in the past few months, the best meal Kyochi had was the onigiri given by Yuhihong, and the rest of the time he used Bingliangwen to satisfy his hunger. The days when the ninja was outside could only be described as miserable. Where, only these few things were made by me, and the others were made by Sister Geely. Please sit down, it will be ready soon. Tsunade sat down by himself with an unwavering expression on his face. Even Shizune turned away, completely forgetting himself, as if he was a transparent person. Snort. She is also tired all day, okay. After a while, the food was served, and Geely also came out of the kitchen. Even at home, she still maintains the transformation technique, but she looks much better than before. She is a little fatter than before, but she is even more beautiful. In Sao Ninja Village, it is indeed too thin. Master Kyochi. Master Tsunade. The food is ready. Everyone sit down and eat. Tsunade smiled. Although everyone greeted Kyochi first when they met today, it is normal to have some special treatment when they come back from outside. Wrong. This seems to be Kyochi's house. She thought of this and glanced at Kyochi, wondering if she should get up and make room, but found that he was not smiling at all, which was totally meaningless. Forget it. Kyochi doesn't seem to care about that either. She sat down in peace. Kanda Kyochi. What does this person say? At the beginning, Tsunade felt flat towards him, just regarded him as a member of the clan, and didn't pay much attention to him. But later, Kyochi got Katsuyu, and the two relied on Katsuyu to communicate and communicate. After she got in touch with Kyochi gradually, she realized that Kyochi was different from others. He doesn't care much about the normal family relationship. Whether a commoner or a family member, as long as he has talent, Kyochi has a good attitude, and he doesn't have any pretensions when he becomes a jonin. In addition, what she admires the most is Kyochi's pioneering spirit. Learn, develop, recreate. Like Senju Tobarama, he will not be satisfied with the technique left by his predecessors, and this kind of development is not the same as Senju Tobarama and Orochimaru. He has his own bottom line and knows what to do and what not to do. Such a person will not go astray. Master Tsunade? Huh? Kyochi is the master here, of course he is here. It's all the same. Then, let's start. Kyochi doesn't care much. Since Tsunade asked him to come, let him come. There is nothing to refuse. If you finish these processes earlier, you can have a hot meal earlier. I'm gonna start now. After speaking in unison, everyone picked up their chopsticks. It smells so good. The smell of grilled meat, fish and shrimp made Kyochi want to swallow his tongue. Long drought meets rain. Satisfied, Kyochi sat on the seat, only 2 words in his mood. Comfortable. Delicious, thank you Shizune and Ori, my tongue that hasn't eaten in months is very satisfied. Where is it, Master Kyochi, you haven't eaten for a long time. Geely said softly. Kyochi smiled and said, it's been too long since I haven't eaten, but on the other hand, it's really delicious. You two are really good at cooking, and you are qualified to open an izakaya. How can you speak so well? Both Shizune and Ori were embarrassed by the praise. Okay, you two talk. Shizune, go wash the dishes, I'll check your homework, I'm too busy with the village affairs to take care of you. Let me do it. No, you sit down and rest. Shizune smiled and stopped Ori from cleaning up the dishes. She knows. Tsunade wanted to give Kyochi and Ori a separate space. After a while, only Kyochi and Geely were left in the hall. Kyochi said apologetically, I'm sorry, I didn't kill the leader of the grass ninja village, but we killed a lot of ninjas in their village with a thunderstorm. Thank you Kyochi-sama. Geely bowed deeply, then thought about it, and sighed, actually, Shaoren village did nothing wrong. Shaoren village has the rules of survival of Shaoren village. That's true, but there are many ways to become stronger and survive, and Kusanagi village is the one that I hate and oppose the most. Kyochi shakes his head. Hanzo set off a war and involved countless people in Uzumaki of the Land of Rain. There were countless casualties in the Second Ninja War, but he had his own pursuit and ideals, so he could be regarded as a hero. What about Kusanagi village? In this war, the grass ninjas thought they could be a bargaining chip and wanted to gain benefits by jumping repeatedly, so they were unwilling to help Konoha deal with rock shinobi sincerely at first. This kind of village. Only when it hurts will they understand that the game of great powers is far beyond their ability to participate. I don't understand. Geely thought for a while, then shook her head slightly. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong, lying on the people who are beneficial to them, until the last bit of value is squeezed out, and then throwing away without hesitation and going to the next family. Kyochi didn't specify. Geely quickly imagined the picture of herself in Kusanen, and it wasn't long before she was discovered by Kusanen village. If she lived a few days longer, her fate might be to be beaten to the bone and sucked out the marrow. This kind of village. Nothing to sympathize with. How are you doing in Konoha recently? It's good, everyone is very friendly. Ambu's seniors often give me advice. Medical ninjutsu is helped by Shizune. It won't take long, I will be able to help you. Ori said. Help me? Ha ha ha. I don't need your help. Live a good life. Konoha is very powerful, so I don't need your help. Kyochi finds it funny. Although Geely is only 2 or 3 years younger than himself, the war is now peaceful and there will be no more fighting in a few years. But then he thought of Madara and Phosphorus. If Geely has a talent similar to that of Karen or even surpassing Karen, cultivate and develop it, maybe it will be miraculously effective in dealing with Madara in the future.